know why, but oh, there we
I
go.
know what you were thinking, what you did. So
Oh, wrong port. Wrong port, Trish.
Yeah, see?
That was me.
Is that one's on too, I think.
bed like this, and my back was all swayed out, and now it's
Test.
Test.
Over there and do it.
Test. 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 Mic test. Check, check, check. Check, check, check.
Yep.
Okay.
The camera's in a different place. We had a power issue.
she told me all about it, not a problem.
All right, I'll
Yeah.
go get that computer.
Thank you.
What do you need set up for it?
I just need to be able to get on the internet,
Okay.
and I'd like to be able to show it.
Okay.
Okay. See how many people it takes to make this go? People all over the state like me. So by the way, you're on candid camera. And things
It's
you,
not really candid, it's really live and very public.
that's what I'm saying, candid,
Yeah,
right? Isn't that what that means?
well, yeah, but candid camera, the people didn't know they were on camera.
They're on candid camera. They don't know what they're doing. They're saying stuff. They're violating laws right, left, side. I know.
You can do it.
I know. Look at me. No. Okay. Will you do me one favor? When you send out the feed, will you say if there's technical issues?
Yes?
Please contact.
Okay, got it.
That will be very helpful instead of them blowing my phone up.
Absolutely.
That would be lovely.
All right, we can do that.
Yeah.
What else was I doing?
Um,
You got batteries in your mics. I need to do your live link. You went to go get your other,
you went to be able to set up the laptop.
right?
Okay.
I think that's it.
Okay.
That's all you need.
Hey, ladies, you know what I'm going to ask you to do? I don't know if you're going to be the only ones here today or not. But you're the two most important people in my life today. How's that? And I'm hopefully going to show you some amazing things today. So how are you feeling with your studying?
Good.
Good?
Yeah, I studied for hours yesterday. It was my only day off from both places.
Yeah.
So I don't-
So you as an esthetician, I do want to know what kind of lovely products do you like to use on your face?
Okay, well today's awful because I didn't like
You do you act like I'm not judging you. You're
You have great skin though.
Thank you. I'm a skin Nazi.
Are you? What products do you use?
Oh, what products don't I use?
I
Okay.
know that's my bathroom is like tubs of
Yes.
products.
I literally have little boxes
Uh-huh.
of, so I probably have, I would guess no less than probably 150 foundations.
Oh,
I
wow.
probably have 60 cleansers. And I feel like I need more.
That's awesome.
I feel like there's other lines and products that I haven't tried. But I do it like based on like what it's doing today. But I'm loving cleansing balms right now.
Cleansing balms.
Yeah.
Yeah, your skin is so smooth and like has no wrinkles whatsoever.
Okay. I also am fat. So when you carry extra weight on you, it keeps your skin plumper. When women get really super skinny, even young ladies get super, super skinny. So take a look at them. When they smile, they look like they're 80. So you also need to eat.
So start eating.
Yeah, you do. If you don't, but if you don't eat well, and if you don't stay hydrated, if you don't eat well, I can tell you, like, look at people, or if you smoke, or if you like tanning beds.
I know I have a friend, she's 26 and she tans all the time. Her skin is just
Heinous.
awful.
My best friend, she's probably 6 years younger than we are, and she looks like she's probably 20 years older than we are.
Oh, really?
Tanned, smoked, never took care of herself, ate terribly. Okay, but so what are your favorite products?
For mine is Murad.
Oh, you like Murad?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
used to have really, really bad acne.
Mhm.
And so it helps with that. And now I just use the vitamin C line. I don't even
Okay.
have to use anything with like salicylic. What's that? The vitamin C one? Yeah, it's awesome for dry skin.
And you can get it at Sephora.
Can't you get it also at
Ulta probably.
I like going to the mall there.
Yeah, you can get it also.
Versus buying everything.
Yeah, and you can get it. And by the way, you can get it online.
Yeah.
I'm
Don't order it
100%.
from Amazon though.
Yeah, no, don't order that. But probably, and I actually like I like British skincare a lot, like Liz Earle, Emma Hardy. I do want to. The next thing I want to try though is Sarah Chapman. But the next thing I want to try is what is her name? Una Brennan, and the other thing is, I'm looking at it. I'll think about it when it's not appropriate, and I'll shout it out. You're the bestest. Thank you. It's in a green bottle. I'm staring at it. It's in my mind. And I also, we've got a gentleman here who's a good, Dan Lackey, who's Korean. And Korean skincare is the new, like, what's up? So he's going to go on a trip to Korea, and he's got some friends that are coming over. And I'm just like, and I want one of these, and one of these, and one of these, and one of these. And you look at me. Do you think I'm kidding?
You're not.
No. No, not even a little bit.
Do you get facials done?
Every month.
Good. Where do you go?
I go to Sonavita.
Okay.
Okay.
I just had a facial done yesterday. It was so nice.
I love facials. I have one on whatever the 8th is, whatever day the 8th is. So
Soon.
Saturday.
I have a car wash. If you want your car washed, do
Sure.
whatever stuff on.
Sure. My car is disgusting. So that probably should be yes and yes. Okay. So nobody else is coming in, so we're going to get started. Russell's going to set me up so I can show you where you can find everything. But we're going to talk about one of the things I was telling you guys about Monday was you can be an expert in the market. And if I had to go to another market, what did I tell you that I would do?
Look up stats.
I would follow statistics. Because if I follow statistics, guess what happens? We really do. And life is, the reason why some people have a beautiful mind is they're mathematically oriented. I am not mathematically oriented, so I need statistics to show me different things. And so one of the things I can tell you that's going to be amazing for you is if you don't believe that I'm telling you the truth, here's the other thing. Not only will these statistics help you absolutely understand the market, but when you're working with a buyer who wants to buy or a seller who wants to sell, you can show them hard evidence that is kind of from a third party. So that makes you look like an expert. You could say, well, I understand that, you're looking at me and you're thinking that I'm not really telling, that I may not be as experienced as you, and you may not think that what I'm telling you is an actual, accurate, true fact, but here are the stats. It's very difficult for a seller or a buyer to look at actual hard copy information and say, well, that's not right. And you can be like, well, that's actual information from the MLS, so. So stats can do all kinds of things for you. So they make you look like an expert right away. They can give you can leverage stats to, boost your position in what you're trying to say or how you're coming across. So, that statisticians kind of rule the world, right? Statisticians rule the world. All these surveys, all this crap. Every time you take a survey, how many surveys are you asked to do on a daily basis? Right? I mean, I'm just shocked and amazed. Every time I turn around, every time I'm done doing anything, somebody's asking me to take a survey, right? Why are they doing that? So they can compile information. They can see, why did you buy this over this? Why did you do this over this? So they're looking at, everyone is interested in behavior. What is Yelp all about? Have you ever done anything on Yelp? So Yelp started out as a restaurant rating app where folks could compare, like if they had a good meal or a bad meal or something like that. Now it's turned into a business rating system. So, it's a really big deal whether or not you show well on products like that. But it really started out, believe it or not, as a restaurant rating system. Okay, so if I don't have anybody in here from the Matsu, which I printed all this stuff for the Matsu, so that I could talk about it. But I've got two gals in here who work in the Anchorage area. But and again, if I had to go out and learn the Wasilla market area, okay, one of the first things I'm doing is I'm going and looking in the stats, okay? And I'll show you where you can find those. So let me show you the first one. So residential sales. This is probably where you'd want to start. So condos and mobiles excluded, okay? So right now, this tells you some absolutely amazing information. And if you had to, one of the things I'm going to ask you to put together is a seller's presentation and a buyer's presentation. This document could go into both your seller's presentation and your buyer's presentation. Also, this information is updated once a month on the 10th of the month. For me, when I was actively selling, I printed this information once a month. So I would have at least 12 months of information. So if they wanted to go back and take a look at it, I could show them month over month over month over month. You know, well, what happened last year? Well, this is what happened last year, okay? So let's take a look at this, and let me tell you why this is like really fascinating information for you and really smart information for your buyers and sellers, okay? So look at what this does for you. So the top graph where it says, these lines, that's never done anything for me. This top graph right here is kind of, for my purposes, not interesting. These bottom two graphs, however, are absolutely fascinating, okay? So from 2001 to 2015, how many years is that, guys?
15.
Okay, 14 years, right? 14 years. So if I want to know, so literally, let me tell you how you can use this. So in August 2000, which isn't shown on here, but let's just say it was August 2001, the average sale price of a house in Anchorage, okay, was $218,649. Okay, so if you know that property, so that someone purchased that property in August of 2001, and the average sale price of that property, or the average house, let's just say, and the average house is the average house is the average house. The average house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, kind of everyday mom and pop house, okay? So it's nothing, and I'm not talking Prominence Point, I'm not talking Fairview, I'm talking Jewel Lake, I'm talking, you know, no fancy neighborhoods, just the average house, okay? It was in September of 2001, August of 2001, the average price was $218,649, okay? So let me tell you what that means for you. Let's say I wanted to list that same house in 2015, okay? So from 2001 to 2015, $218,000 to $382,000. Let's just use 382. So you have, and then look at these numbers too. So in January, 349, February, 355, March, 348, April, 365, May, 390, June, 292. So the low on that is 349.7. The high is 390. You want to chuck out the low and chuck out the high. Why do you do that? They're going to throw off your average, right? And then you see 355, 348, and 365. Do you see that these numbers are relatively very close together? Mm-hmm. And then actually the one that would be the most statistically accurate would be the 355. Mm-hmm. Okay, so looky there. So 355. So basically from August of 2001 to and we're just saying 2015, 355 shows to be the most probable, and that's what we're looking for, the most probable price that they would pay. Okay. Oh, and look at here. That means that house has increased in value 100 and how many? $140 something thousand. So right now, you know that owner, as long as they haven't taken out a second mortgage on that property or they haven't refinanced or they haven't done anything crazy, has over $100,000 worth of equity in their home. Oh. And you didn't have to do a damn thing but look. How do you like that? Do you feel smarter already?
Yep.
You should feel smarter already. You should be like, oh, I can actually use this information to extrapolate, push forward, think ahead, and go, okay, what does this mean? So what this means is, during these periods of time, these are what these houses were selling for, if they've held that property for this length of time. Now, when it comes to a buyer, let me tell you how amazing this is, okay? You can say, well, gosh, you guys, if you'd have bought in, well, we were thinking about buying in 2010. Okay, well, let's just look at 2010. Okay, I'm going to use August, the same day, right? August 2010, 338, 992, okay? And again, we're going to use that 355 number, right? Okay, so if you had purchased in August 2010, your house would be, you would have automatic equity in your home right now. So I can also be like, gosh, you really do want to buy now because I can show you year over year over year over year that properties have been increasing in value. And that people, when they look at this and they look at these numbers, they're like, oh my gosh, this is statistically accurate information. Okay? Because the MLS is really a statistical database, period. It's a database of information. And it's how we express that information that's meaningful to both ourselves and our clients. And this is how you become an expert in the market. You start looking at this information. So here's something else that's really interesting. So percent change from previous year, 2005. This is the amount of gain in value a property has had. So in 2005, values gained 12%. In 2006, they gained 7.9 over that 12, guys. You need to understand that. This is progressive value. So it gained over the, so if basically if 292 is 100%, then 315 is larger than 100, right? Okay. So in 2006, it gained 7.98, 2007, 3.71, 2008, it went down 0.35. That is statistically nothing. That's like dollars, okay? In 2009, it went down 1.5%. That's actually statistically important. In 2010, though, it rebounded and it went up and went back to 251, right? And so it rebounded to its actual, look, if you add the 1.5 to the 0.35, okay, it went 100% over what it lost. Then it went down in 2011, 2.16. Okay, but in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, you had a 4.232% gain. Again, this is over 100%. So what that means is 4 plus 3 is what? 7 plus 3 is 10, right? 10 plus another 3 is 13%, right? I'm not being exact, but from 2012 to 2015, the value in your home would have increased 13%. Okay, now here's something else that's really helps you out. And when I tell you that statistically year over year, our value has increased 3% consecutively over the last 20 years, this takes into account these downs in our market. But this is what you can show somebody. This is what owning a house is like. And when I'm considering whether or not I should own a house or not, okay, I can show somebody, I can be like, well, what kind of return are you getting? Do you guys have savings? Oh, you have a couple $1,000 in savings. Okay. What are you getting on your savings account as far as a return on investment? Oh, you're getting like $12 a year in interest. Oh, okay. Well, if you were to have a house, if you were to leverage that money and purchase a property, you would actually be, your actual gain in your investment would be what?
12%.
12% in 5 years versus $26 a year in your savings account. Now, do you see, like when somebody sees this number, they're like, what? What you mean I could be, so if I own a home, if I just own one, okay, the value of my property just based on our market right now is increasing. Now, the other thing this tells you is this tells you additional information. This tells you that this is a seller's market. Why does this tell you that it's a seller's market?
Because it's increasing.
There you go. Because values are increasing. If values were only staying the same, or they weren't increasing at all, or they were going down a little bit. So 2009, we could say 2009 might have been a little bit of a buyer's market. Do you guys know what happened in 2007 and 2008?
The market crashed.
The market crashed. So our market in Anchorage, Alaska, how much did it crash? 2%. 2%. That's all people lost in value. Theoretically, all homes being equal, our market only lost in Anchorage, okay, in the metro area, only lost 2%. Then it rebounded, and it rebounded 13%. Okay, do you see that? Now, all of a sudden, what do these numbers mean to you? That means when I go to a listing appointment, okay, if I have to go list someone's property, first thing I'm pulling is this information. I'm looking online, I'm checking out a few things, I'm checking to see when they purchased their property, I'm looking at a couple different things, and then I can use this information to make some projections for them. Now, a couple things that I may not know. I may not know whether or not they've done an equity line of credit on their property. I may not know whether or not they've refinanced their property and taken their equity out, but I can ask those questions. But let's just say somebody did take their equity out, let's say in 2010. Okay, that's okay. Guess what they've still done? They've still gained on value of their property 13%. Mm-hmm. Now that also helps you when it comes down to, these are some old school, these are some very old school principles that I'm going to tell you. So statistically, and I've been doing this for a really long period of time, and I'm not 100%, and it depends on everything depends on everything. But a buyer is typically going to put 6% of whatever the amount sales price of the house into their transaction. Okay, 6% is typically their down payment and their closing costs. Okay, now sometimes I can get the seller, most of the time right now, I can get the seller to pay my closing costs. Mm-hmm. So most buyers are only putting about 3% into their property. So on $300,000, what's 3%? No, $9,000, 369. Okay, $9,000. Okay, so that's typically the amount of money that a buyer has to have in order to get into a property on a $300,000 property, 3%. Okay, now if it's a veteran, nothing. Okay, they can do 100% loan to value. Okay, but the least amount of money that I'm aware of that you could put into a property is 0. The next least amount of money that I'm aware of that you can put into a property is right about 3%, sometimes 3.5, sometimes 3. Okay, so for you, that's really important information. If you know this off the top of your head when you're talking to a buyer and you ask them about how much money they have, you know that if they need 3 to 3.5% for a down payment if they're not a veteran, or if they're not going give me a sec. Used to RD, rural development, also has a low to no down payment. Okay, but in Anchorage we don't do RD. In the Valley they do RD loans. Okay, so if they're veteran, they're doing a 0 down payment. If they're FHA, they're doing about a 3.5% down payment. And then if they're conventional, that means they have money. They have at least 5%, okay, which is great, right? But when you talk to people, all of a sudden on $100,000, you know that the average buyer needs $3,500 for a down payment in order to get into that house. If they have $3,500 just off the top of your head on every $100,000, you know that they can buy. Now, do you understand how powerful you are now? Like, I can just talk to somebody and I know whether or not they're a real buyer. Now, do you also know where buyers can get money? Where can buyers get money? Sure, but I mean, let's say I need a down payment. Down payment typically means I have to have my own money. So where can I get money?
Family.
What's that?
Family.
Family, I can. What else? Well, how many of your friends are going to loan you thousands of dollars?
Friends.
They're super good friends. We might have a couple deals going on. I don't know. Okay, who else can loan you money? Yeah, family members, friends. Where else can you get money? Some people save it, right? Mm-hmm. Some people are super good savers, okay? Some people have investments, okay? Some people have assets that they're willing to sell, believe it or not. I mean, do you have a lot of crap in your house? Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a girlfriend who just did a garage sale. She said her family made about $3,000 from a garage sale. Now, on $100,000, $3,000 is what? Down payment. See that? I mean, think about it. How about if you had a car? You know, a couple cars. Maybe I sell one. Mm-hmm. Sometimes all I can do is clear the debt. A lot of times I'm not making money on that. But what is my point?
There's different ways.
There's different ways to get there from here. Okay. Some people have 401ks, you guys. Some people have a job that has a 401k. Not everyone is blessed to have that. But if you do have a job that has a 401k, borrowing against your 401k to purchase a property is an allowable thing that the IRS will allow you to do. You can access your retirement funds to purchase a property. So a lot of times when I'm talking to somebody, they're like, oh my gosh, I have no money. I'm like, well, do you have a 401k? Oh, yeah. I've been working at my job for 10 years and yeah, I have a 401k. Like, Is there money in that 401k? Most of the time that answer is what? Yes. So did you know that you can borrow against your 401k? They're like, what? All of a sudden there's a down payment for a house. Okay, so in your buyer's presentations and your seller's presentations, this is important information. And let me show you where you can get this information. Okay. So there's the front side of AlaskaRealEstate.com, which is Flex. There's the Flex MLS, which has statistics. You guys know that. But I'm actually going to the public side of MLS, which is called AlaskaRealEstate.com. Now, this used to be, believe it or not, the only website that buyers would go to and the only website that they would look at. And can I tell you why? Because Trulia and Zillow did not exist. This was the only thing that they could do to search properties, like real properties. And this is, you see how it says Alaska MLS? This is the front side or the public side of the MLS. Okay. Okay, so here I come, and it's the participants page. Hi, Teresa Block. You last logged in on Wednesday, August 5th at 8:24. That was early this morning when I was pulling these stats. Okay, and it says advanced help, IDX, class schedule, contact Alaska MLS. There's Flex right there, so I can hit this and go right straight to Flex. Here's the my inventory, my profile. Oh, here's my favorite, real estate statistics. My next favorite thing is reference materials, and I'll show you reference materials. Reference websites, audit program. There's the roster. This is all the licensees who are part of the Alaska MLS, weekly updates, etc. Okay, so I'm going to come up here right to the real estate statistics. Okay, and there's Anchorage, Mat-Su, Kenai Peninsula, Kodiak, and there's some other links. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I only spend time in the personally. I only spend time in the Anchorage statistics because that was my market area and I only sold in Anchorage. Okay, I didn't sell in the Mat-Su Valley. Okay, there's a couple of really important reasons why I didn't sell in Mat-Su Valley. Number one, the Mat-Su Valley is a completely and totally different market that has its own, it has so much so much technical information that you need to know about that market. And almost, you heard me say almost every property is on a well and septic. Okay, and the Mat-Su Valley is as large as, ready, from Girdwood all the way to Thunderbird Falls. From Girdwood to Thunderbird Falls, that's how big the Mat-Su Valley is. That's a massive market area. So I get lost in a parking lot. Okay, so has anybody been in Settlers Bay? Have you been driving around Settlers Bay? What do you know about Settlers Bay?
It's nice.
It's beautiful, but it's
confusing.
Confusing and windy.
Yeah.
Okay, I've gotten lost in Settlers Bay before. Really frustrating. Okay, and also sometimes when you're going to show properties, you might be driving an hour away to show properties because of how spread out the properties are. Okay, not the way that I want to spend my weekend. And the other reason was this was kind of before GPS, and so you would have to have maps. Okay, not a pleasant experience. So I learned and I made a decision that I was going to become an expert in my market. And gosh, there's too much business in Anchorage for me to have to worry about the Mat-Su. And I made a strategic partner with someone in the Mat-Su Valley, okay, who I could refer all my business to, who also didn't want to learn Anchorage, didn't want to work in Anchorage, and would do the same for me. Now, am I telling you to do that? Am I telling you that you have to do that? No, you do not have to do that. However, you have to decide. And if I were in your situation and I was first starting out and somebody wanted to live in Mat-Su, guess what I'd be doing? I'd be driving out to Mat-Su. Now, I mean, it's a lot easier now that you have GPSs and you're not going to look like such a moron like we used to look like with maps, trying to find places. I mean, it was really tough. Okay, so that same schedule that I just showed you, it's right here. There it is right there. So if you want to know where to find it, it's on AlaskaRealEstate.com. You have to log in, and it's under statistics. And I have all of these printed out for you. Now there's a couple statistics that I don't find particularly helpful, and I'll show you the ones that I don't like, but you guys can, 100% you can use them, or there might be somebody that you meet that gets into them and says, oh, that's great. So here's the other one. Here's the next one that is really important. Number of units, okay? Residential sales, number of units. Guys, this means this is the number of units that sell every single month. Every single month, the number of houses that sell. So you can see that there's a large number of properties that are on the market, but which ones sell? So in January, 166 units sold. These are just single family homes, you guys, no condos, no mobiles in here. 164 in February, 205 in March, 237 in April, 243 in May, 342 in June. Okay. Now I could also go back and look in January. Okay. I can go back for the last 14 years and I can see how many houses sold in January. I can see how many houses sold in February. I can see how many houses sold in March, etc. So when you're thinking about when to position a house on the market, I can see when is the point in time most statistically over the last 14 years that houses sell. One of the good things that I think it's really important that you do know is you notice that none of these months are zero. What does that tell you? Things are always selling. So when someone tells you, well, I don't think it's a really good idea for me to have my house in the market in April, because nobody's going to be buying a house in April because it's tax time. So what can you do? I can pull this right up and say, well, gosh, year over year, there's never been a zero in April. So if your house is not on the market in April, that means this April, 237 houses sold, and your house would have been missed because it wasn't on the market. Do you love that? So when somebody says, yeah, this isn't a good time for me to sell, you can be like, well, you tell me when would be the right time to sell. Do you love that? Is this powerful for you? Same thing for a buyer. No, nobody's going to buy a house in December. Nobody buys houses in December. I'm sorry, go look at December. People buy houses in December all the time and always have. Okay. And then here's the last 3 months. This just shows you the very last 3 months, how many houses have sold. Okay, now, again, for your buyers, when they're saying, I don't want to buy a house in April, I don't want to buy a house in December, I don't want to buy a house in whatever month that they're saying, you can be like, well, you're going to miss out. There's going to be houses that are on the market that are going to sell in these months. For a seller, I don't want to put my house on the market. Gosh, you're going to miss out because your house won't be on the market and somebody else's house will sell. Yours won't. Okay. So this is statistically important information for you. And then if you have to actually back up how many houses have sold, I can go right up here. I can run a total. I can say for the last, 6 years is how many houses sold in January, blah, 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 blah. So you can just show people this stuff. Okay. This has always been, because you will meet that seller who will say, yeah, I don't want to put my house on the market right now, or it's not a good time or whatever. And you can say, well, if your house isn't on the market, it can get missed. Okay. And the other thing, guys, this is something else that you should know. So if I have a not particularly attractive listing, when do I want it on the market? No, if I have not a particularly attractive listing, I want it on the market when there's the least amount of sales. When there's the least number of sales, okay? The reason is the higher the number of sales, the more inventory there is on the market. So if I have a not so nice property, you guys need to write, this is genius. If I have a not so nice property, I want it on the market when there's not that many sales, because then that means there's not that much inventory. And then that means that my house, compared to all the other dogs on the market, my house barks and wags its tail. If I have a stunning house, it doesn't matter when I put it on the market, guys. It really doesn't. If my house is beautiful, clean, beautiful yard, really nice finishes, it absolutely doesn't matter. But if I have a house that's not so great, I might leverage the time of year or the month I put it on the market when there's not that much inventory. And for you to know that at day 2 of your real estate career, you have no idea what you just know. And to be able to explain that to a seller and to be able to say, well, you have a lovely house, yes, I see that you have 6 kids, and yes, it's really hard to keep it clean, but there's a strategy that we might want to put your house on the market when there's less inventory, because it will have a better opportunity to be seen and and it won't get lost in the shuffle of really beautiful, fantastic homes. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. And to be able to say that to a seller is fabulous. Okay, now these decade trends in the real estate market, I didn't print these out because I hate this. This for me, this graph, this is residential new listings, pendings, listings, and sold listings. If you can make sense out of that, and if that makes your eyes go crazy, great. Now, the people who do like this, can I tell you who does love this graph? Mathematicians and engineers. If you're working with a mathematician and an engineer, they love this. If you are not working with a mathematician and you're not working with an engineer, does this make any sense to you? It doesn't make any sense to anybody anyway. So, but there are people out there that this is statistically, this graph right here, they love this. Now, also, if you print this out in black and white, guess what? No idea, right? Because you have red, black is pending, and solds are blue. Okay? So now what this is telling you is new listings. This is telling you that there's more properties on the market that have pended and that have sold. Bottom line, that's what this is telling you. But every other stat that you're going to read tells you the same thing. This is just a pictorial of that information. And I hate that one. And I hate this one too. Same thing. This is the last, this is just from June 2000, instead of the decade, this is just from June 2012 to June 2015. So, okay, but I hate this one too, because again, and if you don't print it out, and if you print it out in anything other than black and white, nobody can read it, so it's of no value. Okay, believe it or not, this is something that I would have on my fingertips at all times, and I have this printed out. All of these things here, I've got them printed out for you, except those decade. I don't print those out because in my worldview, unless either one of you a architect, engineer, or mathematician, okay, excellent, then I know my audience. Okay, so look at this. Now, again, you guys, where it says condos and mobile homes only, what does that tell you? These are only houses, okay, only houses. This actual bottom graph right here and these residential for the last 6 months, this is probably the most important information for a brand new licensee, because this has broken up and segmented our market into actual areas, okay? So it says, so if you, in order to read this, so it says from 100,000, I'm sorry, from 179. So right now they're saying there's from $180,000 basically or less. That is 2% of the market. That's single family residences. Only 2% of our market have sold under $179,000. Okay, so if you have an opportunity, if somebody comes to you and says, I want you to go sit a listing and it's $100,000 and it's a single family residence, what am I probably going to tell you? I'm probably going to tell you it's either going to sell really, really fast, so maybe you might want to do it, or I'm going to tell you it's probably not statistically relevant. That may not be the place where you're going to meet the most buyers. Okay, that's what I'm going to try and tell you, because there's only 2%. That's only 2% of the market. All right, 180 to $200,000. That's 2% of the market. 200,000 to 225. That's 3% of the market. 225 to 250 is 5%. So what is this telling you right now? When, bless you, that's telling you that these houses are golden unicorns. Okay, they're not just unicorns, they're golden unicorns. There's not that many of them. So if you have a buyer who wants to purchase a house under $250,000, right now you know that there's about 10% of our market that's under that. That's a really hard house to find. So now if you're purchasing a house under $250,000, what is my advice to you right now for purchasing? I'm going to tell you that, gosh, you guys, there's only about 10% of our market is under $250,000 for single family residence, which means there's not a lot of inventory. Okay. Now for a seller, that's awesome. Why is that awesome that there's not that much inventory?
It's gonna sell.
That house is going to sell. It's going to sell fast. It's going to sell like none other because there's no inventory and there are buyers in this price point. So you got to look at it from what does this mean to a seller and what does this mean to a buyer? For a seller, that's awesome. Their house is going to sell. Okay. What it means to a buyer, if you're in that price point, that's a rough price point. So I may have to actually go look at a condo instead of a single family residence. So right now, I know if a buyer tells me they're under $250,000, I'm like, golden unicorn, that's going to be tough. Not impossible, but tough. Okay, so I'm going to have to be on the market. I'm going to have to be looking at the hot sheet. I'm going to have to be watching properties. I'm going to have to know that if a property comes up underneath that price point, I got to jump on it. Okay, so when we start, then you start seeing where these arcs start getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So that was 250 to 274, 4%, 275 to 299. That's $300,000, guys. That's only 7% of our market. Okay, now you get 300 to 349, 99 to 350. That's 12% of your market. Now all of a sudden you're opening up. Okay, now here's what I want you to know. Statistically, I'm starting to look at where I want to place myself in the market. Okay, so 12% of the market is under $350,000. 350 to 179 is 12, 7, 4, 5, 3, 2, and 2. Okay, do you see how I can add those together and I can come up with that's the market? Now that's only so much, but 350, all of a sudden now I'm at about half the market. Half the market is at 350 and under. And I'm a brand new licensee. So this tells me one thing right now. I only want to be sitting houses that are under $350,000. And I most probably want to be from 350 to 300. Do you see that? Because do you see how much bigger that market share is? That's 13, 12, and 7. So that when I hedge that market right there, that's a huge amount of buyers. That's a lot of our market right there. Now, when you get to the $400 to the $500,000, yes, that's 18, and the 500 to the 750, that's 23. But this market is heavily marketed with your top producing real estate licensees. Does that make sense? Okay, it's going to be harder for you as a new licensee. Not impossible. Not that you can't meet a buyer who wants to buy in that price point, or a seller who doesn't want to sell in that price point. Just for you working with a buyer, that's going to be harder, even though it's a larger segment. Okay, because the most experienced licensees are going to be in the top tier of the market. Does that just kind of make sense to you? Okay, so 400 to a million, you guys. 400 to a million, that's half the market. Half the market is $400,000 to a million. Okay, and they have it literally broken up. So, and then this little box over here, this one right here, that says the average original list price of a property is $381,286. Now that's $1 million listings all the way down to those in the $100,000. But what do you know about averages? Does anybody know anything about math and know anything about averages? You need to take the highest, you take the lowest, throw it out. That's actually called a median. That's a legit number. Averages are not what you want to look at. So average list price at time of sale, $372. Average sold price in our market is $368,490, which again is where? Here. So that's why you want to be in that part of the market. Percent of sale to original list. I always say that 99% of houses sell 97%. So you have about 3% that you can negotiate down on a property. Oh my God, look at that. Percent of sales to original list price, 96.64, that's 97%. The 3% is either one of two things. The 3% is closing costs, or the 3% is they've had to reduce their price in order to get an offer. Their house might have been a little bit, but that also helps you I can take this piece of information right now. I can show that to a seller, and I'm like, I just need to let you know that yes, you can, you know, and we could do math on this. So you have a $300,000 house, and you want to list it at $325,000. Okay, that's great. My market shows that if you have an overpriced listing, what's going to happen to it? It's not going to sell. It's going to sit on the market. And oh, by the way, buyers are incredibly savvy, you guys. I mean, they're going to walk into houses after a while, and they're really going to start understanding price, okay? Because it's just like shopping for anything. When you go out and you see the same things over and over and over, all of a sudden you start going, okay, what about what do I think about that? What do I think about that? Why do I like this over that? Okay. Percent sale to list, 99%. Okay. So this statistically is amazing information. And then up here, you guys, again, this is going to break the market back into those segments, and it's going to tell you exactly what that means. So if I have a house, right? Sorry, wait. If I have a house at 250 to 274, okay, do you see this right here? In June, there was 24 of those units sold. Okay, in July, there's 26. Okay, this tells you how many sold every single month over month. Okay, in June, there was 22 listed. Okay, so there was 22 that sold. Average number that sell every single month are 21 listings sell in that price point every single month. And active right now is 27. What is that? How tight is that market? Super tight, because do you see there's the number of ones that sold compared to the number of ones that are active? There's only 6 units on the market that you could go fight over right now, okay? Now let's look at the $1 million listing. Why do I tell people? People get really excited. They come to me and they're like, oh my God, somebody asked me to sit their $1 million listing. I'm like, really? I'm like, let me show you something, okay? How many houses in the last, since June 2014, how many $1 million houses have sold? Okay, so if I'm going to spend my super valuable time holding open house, am I going to go sit a $1 million listing? Do you see now why this is important for you? Okay, so I mean, a lot of people get all excited, like, oh my God, I get to sit $1 million listing, and I'm like, oh my God, you're going to go sit $1 million listing. I'm not saying I'm not saying that you couldn't sell that. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you couldn't sell that. I'm not saying that you couldn't work with a buyer who's looking for $1 million house. And I'm not saying that they don't sell. I am saying that in June 2014, none of them sold. I'm saying in July 2014, 3, August 1, September 2, October 1, November 1, December 1, January 2, Feb 1, 1, 1, 4, and 3. Okay, where do I want to put myself? Ooh, I want to put myself where there's 55 units on the market that are selling. Okay, see that? Those are also the listings I want to take. So when somebody says, Teresa, I want you to come list my $1 million house, guess what I say? Great. Why am I not as excited about taking a $1 million listing? I'm not saying they won't sell. I'm saying they do sell, but statistically, look at how many of them sell.
Isn't it good though to still have a sale?
Oh, 100%, 100, 150%. Yes, yes, yes. I'm just saying I need to be realistic with that seller, and I need to be realistic with myself. I need to understand that it's going to take a lot longer for a $1 million listing to sell, than a $400,000 listing to sell. And I also, when I'm leveraging myself, when I want to go after listings, and when I'm leveraging myself where I want to put myself in open houses, I'm using this information right here to tell me where I want to be. I'm also letting buyers know, okay, you guys look, 65 listed, 350 and 300,000 to 349, 65 listings sold last month. That's a lot of sales. That means when you see a house in your price point that you are interested in, you need to move. You can't think, you have to move, because this is where our market is doing the most activity. Okay, so that helps you with a buyer. How does this help you with a seller? That same information. This is where the market has the most amount of properties. Your house, in order to sell, has to be excellent, crisp, clean, really in good condition. Okay, so do you see how you can use statistics both ways? I can use it for buyers, I can use it for sellers. Also, I can help myself position myself in the market. Okay, so what have you got from this so far?
The set listings are realistic that sell.
I also want you to make sure that you're picking the open houses that you're sitting in. I want to put myself in the most likely property that will have the most opportunity to sell. Okay, so I'm not going to go sit a $750,000 listing. Yes, they sell, but I would much rather sit a $300,000 listing where I'm going to have twice as many people who are able to buy it. So basically, if you guys are going fishing, if you looked at this as fishing, which fishing hole are you going to go to? Where you have the most opportunity to catch fish, not where you have the least opportunity to catch fish. Same scenario. Also, it really helps you understand, it breaks out, you guys, this middle part here. I'm sorry, let me get that off the screen. It's a touch screen, which I don't love. No, don't do that. There we go. Okay, this middle section right here breaks all these out into total active, your 13-month average, and your current inventory. This current inventory right here is something called the absorption rate. This is super important for you, absorption rate. This tells you how many months of inventory does it take before your house will sell, okay? And this tells you in the 225 to 249, you need to understand that it's going to take about 1.3 months for your house to sell. That tells you that market time. And this is this is probably the most important information. Oh, wait. If I have a $1 million listing, it's going to take 19 months to sell. Okay. This is called, this current inventory expressed as a monthly, that's called our absorption rate. It's one of the most important pieces of information you need to know, absorption rate. And it tells you how long will it take for me to sell this property, which also means when you ask me, how long should I take a listing for? Well, I'm going to tell you if it's $1 million house, you're going to have to take a 1.5 year listing, at least. 1.5 years is 18 months. I might have to take a 2-year listing. Most sellers won't give me a 2-year listing. Maybe I'll take a 1-year listing with an automatic 6-month extension. See where I'm at? Okay. And then over here, average days on the market, active as of publication. Okay, so average days on the market that are, this is how many active listings are out there. This is how many sold in the last 13 months, and this is how many sold in the last 6 months. What's more important? So the 6 months, that's more important, okay? But people will challenge you all the time. Well, how many sold over the last year? Well, there's your number. How many sold in the last 6 months? Okay, so, okay, I'll just look at one. So, and these are days on market, you guys. So in the same 300 to 349, 54 days, average days, these are active listings right now. They're active. The average number of listings on this, in this price point are active for 54 days. Average sold, how many good listings that sold were on the market for an average of 36 days in the last 13 months and 40 days in the last 6 months. 4 days is statistically not a big deal, okay? But when you come down to 106 days versus 83 days, that's a bigger deal. Do you see that? Okay.
What does that mean? The average days on the market active as a...
So right now, if you were to go into any of these price points, they averaged the listings and said how many days have all of these listings been on the market average. And so I'm just, let's say 350 to 349. If there are however many listings there are, all of the listings combined have been on the market an average of 54 days. These are actives. Now, solds in the last year, they've been on the average days on market were 36 days sold, and in the last 6 months, 40 days, which tells you that there's listings out there that are either taking longer to sell or what? This actually tells you something. There's some dogs on the market. There's some properties that are priced in this price point that aren't selling. So they're either overpriced or they're not in good, clean condition. That's what that tells you. Is that interesting for you guys to know?
Yeah.
And when I tell you I love statistics, I love statistics. And if you want to be an expert in any market, I can go, literally, when I told you I can go look into a market right now and I can tell you, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where it is. Now, just because I look at the statistics, I can look at 3 different pages and I can be like, okay, well, the average sale price of a house in this market, average list price is $381, average sold price is $368. Okay, that tells me exactly where I want to be in the market. Done. Now I get a couple of these other things that tells me, it breaks out it segments it out and breaks it out a little bit more for me. Amazing. Now I'm an expert. Now I can go sit down and talk to a seller. I can be in St. Louis, Missouri, and I can talk to them about their market like I'm an expert and I don't live there. That's how cool stats are.
Do a lot of people not look at stats?
Most people don't look at stats. It's very frightening to me. Very frightening to me, which is why I try and make this a really big deal and try and inform you how big of a deal this is because stats tell you things. If you know how to read them and you know how to look at them, they inform you about a lot of stuff. But a lot of people don't like, they're like, oh, I don't like that. I don't want to look at that. I'm like, okay, well, that's a problem. That's a problem. Okay, you guys have to give you your first 10-minute break right now. 10 minutes. 10 minutos. So what do we know? What do we know about your $1 million property? What do we know about your listing? What do we know about your sale? What do we know about your mom?
I don't know. I need to do that.
Okay.
And do that.
Okay.
And then that's when we try and whether or not or what she's gonna buy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good.
Okay.
I have to figure out how to go the numbers and stuff from there. So I don't know.
Does she have a property manager? Does she self-manage?
We have like family friend who kind of does the maintenance / show business. So.
You need 3 years of 3 years of contact. Because she has to fill out a rental. She has to fill out all the information for rental.
We have a tax lady, so.
You need 3 years. You need 3 years, and all you need is that real estate schedule. You don't need her entire tax return. You don't care. But her entire tax return. You just need her schedule, her rental schedule.
The rental schedule?
Mm-hmm. And will she allow you to?
She's good. She wants to go to school.
Yeah. She's going to have to show it to anybody else.
Yeah.
Then that tells you what she reported. And see, that's the other thing. That tells you what she reported to the IRS. Okay? Because then most people are going to say, well, I wrote off push all expenses, but and then you're like, well, this is what you're going to have to show to somebody like me because I'm going to say, consider it like it's under IRS tax return. Because I know I wasn't really directed and I know what people did.
Yeah.
So that's what you reported on tax. So I'm going to beat you down on value by using the rental schedule. So you want to use that as a baseline.
I will. I'll get more in time to read. There's really nothing in buildings like insurance. And then that one guy never called me back.
Well, I wouldn't let that stop me.
No, it's not it, but there's literally nothing. Like there's 2 places. There's that place and then this one place that needs a lot of repairs. And it's like I forget what it is, like 40 bedrooms, something like that. But I drove by it and like there's like paint peeling off the ceiling and like.
If the seller's willing to fix it, you can beat the seller up that way.
They have, I'll show you.
Okay. Hi, Teresa. I am wonderful. Okay, bye. So my facial. Well, they do for me, they do two things. She does a microdermabrasion. So first she'll do a chemical peel, and I'm cold. And it's not, I'm not talking about a chemical peel like I used to go to the hospital. They do a really mild chemical peel, and then she does microdermabrasion. But I'm 47, so I'm not 12, I'm not 20. So I wouldn't recommend anybody. I don't recommend, as a matter of fact, I have a whole theory, you need to be as gentle as you possibly can. And what I think is horrible is when 20-year-olds are using skincare that's meant for you. You should use skincare that's meant for babies. And you should be gentle and continually using your face until you start to get older. Because if you were 20 years old and you were using retin is, you know, I'm going to say because by the time that stuff will work on you, like, but when you need it, it won't work on you.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
That's like 20-year-olds getting Botox
Oh, that
already.
drives me batty. I'm just like, okay, I don't get Botox.
Like it's for preventative care. I was like, not, you don't even have any signs yet.
How about everyone's getting facelifts?
Exactly.
I'm like, you know, hello. There's no getting facelifts. Now, if you don't do things, something you want to get a new job or something like that, whatever. But you're 30 years old, you're thinking of facelifts. Because you're going to look like John Rivers.
Yeah.
That's only if you can do the maintenance on it. Have you seen a bad facelift that falls? Oh, that's ugly forever. And I have to really want to have that face job. Okay, that's a job. That's a good job. Okay, well, what? Because you have the tips. And this is like, and you don't care if it doesn't look like, and you don't care if like, okay? And it's so hard.
Yeah.
So you're going to put money into something, put it in your face.
That everyone's gonna see.
That everyone sees every single day. Put it in your face, not anything that you're going to cover with clothes. Now, if you're a swimsuit model, if you're a Victoria's Secret model, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying, but average, everyday American women. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
When you're old, you look silly. Perfumes, like, you know what I mean? Like when you see someone that's really old.
Well, I know
and
and or worse than that, like you've got all this other, like you have all other signs of aging.
And then that.
You're like,
Doesn't look right.
I hope everyone's enjoying that in their lives. I got more to say about that if you want to know. Oh, put your money in your money maker. Okay.
Play it like that, I just was flying right now, I'm just sitting there, so.
That's more specific. This is a really horrible way. I'm gonna put that for your side. How are you doing? I just had somebody say, I'm watching live and it's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just so you know, that's the feed right there, that's what it looks like. When I sent out the live link, I sent it from you, but a reply back to me with a note that says, click here for technical difficulties, and click here goes to Russell. We did have one phone call that went to Ori, and it was Michelle and Sophia. But it's because her name wasn't on our list of email licenses.
Oh, okay, great.
So I resent that to her. And I did. Teresa, happy days. It's on my top. It's on my list.
You gotta know who your people are. Okay, so this is that number of years. Oh, the back. Yeah, well, you know, I'm not 12, I can name it. This is that, look at the supply and demand. And do you see the value it needs? And you see why I would be studying the stats every single, and I study them every month. So every time, and because I now then when the new stats came out, I'd be like, oh, it's not on the 8th. They come out on the 10th of every month. And again, you have to know where to get them. They're on the last one.
I was looking everywhere for flags.
You can always ask me, I will tell you. Okay, so this is going to tell you active listing inventory. So you absolutely care about active listing inventory, right? So active listing inventory tells you that in June there were 745 properties from, right, 179 or less all the way to a million plus. There was 745 active listings on the market in every one of these price points, okay? So this just tells you the gross number of active listings. And again, if I need to position my property, sometimes I need to be smart about where I position my property, okay? And by knowing that you can be smart about where you position a property, what month, okay, that can really help you. So that's the all listings on the market. Again, do you see any of these that say 0? So houses are on the market all year long.
Should you look at it like, I don't know how to say this, but like the average days on market, should you take that, like if it's an ugly house and then add that, go backwards to that stuff?
Well, that's number of listings. That's number of listings. So that's like,
Okay.
yeah, that's just like not right.
Okay.
And that doesn't say anything about marketing time. That just says right in June.
I know, I was thinking
June,
about.
there's 700, oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I was-
Possibly, yeah, if you absolutely can.
Okay.
And your CMA is actually gonna, remember, this is like, this is municipality-wide, right? So you're gonna do a CMA and you're gonna have actual more statistically accurate information. Just for example, my house is in area 15. So I'm only going with the area 15. So this is a snapshot of the whole acre pool. And then you're gonna take a better, bigger snapshot of just the area that your property is located. So you're gonna have even more accurate information. So you're taking the city as a whole and you break it out into areas, okay? Now, this particular piece of paper is probably been my favorite piece of paper. And I've used this in every listing presentation and every buyer presentation I've ever had, and I've done it. I have these, I couldn't find it, or I brought in my stack when I was selling. I have these for about 15 years. And I print this out every single month, and I update my stack, okay?
And this is under the stats as well.
This is right here, yeah, this is under the stats as well, guys. So I'm gonna go right back to this list of stuff. And this is how much does a home in Anchorage, Alaska cost today? Okay, so, and I print it out in color because again, if you print this out in black and white, it doesn't have the same impact as it does in color, okay? And this gives someone a visual representation of what an actual house in Anchorage looks like. Why is this important?
It's not like a house in LA or.
Correct.
And stuff.
Correct. If this is not like cute little bungalows in Seattle. Okay, this shows somebody, okay, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 700 to 1,300 square feet, with or without a car storage. Average sales price, $182,000. So you guys, this is your lot line. This is your lot line. Average sales price is $182,000. So a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 900 to 1,600 square feet, average sales price is $271. Again, I'm giving you a better idea of what a property is going to cost. And I'm giving you this little picture, this little teeny tiny ranch house. This gives you an idea of when you drive up to it, this is about what you're getting, guys. Okay? And that's a single car garage or carport. If you want to get up to a double car garage, 1,600 to 1,900 square feet, 3-bedroom, 1.75 to 2.5 bath, your average sales price is $326,511. And then average sale price for what I used to call an average Joe house. So an average Joe house, you guys, are these two bottom ones. So 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,900 to 2,500 square feet, double car garage or larger, $419. So this, and what this does for me is when I had buyers with these like unrealistic expectations, I was able to show them this and I didn't have to say a word. You know what I mean? This really was like, oh, I'm not going to be looking at a 2,000 square foot house for $200,000. No, you're not. I'm not going to be, if that's your expectation, you're going to be frustrated with me because I'm not going to be able to meet that expectation because this is what it looks like. So this went into every single buyer's presentation I ever did. And I would print these out month after month after month after month. Because then, but then again, you guys, so when somebody would call me and they would tell me what's up with their house because they wanted me to come list it, what would I know? I would know right off the top of my head. I would actually just kind of look at it and be like, okay, well, maybe you're between these two, or maybe you're between these two, or maybe you're between these two. But I would have an idea in my mind, not perfect, but an idea of what that property might sell for. Okay? How do you like that now? This is my favorite. This is my favorite. And color because it's color, probably because it's very instructive. Of course they are, but you know that does that really helps buyers. It helps them know what they're going to get. So they don't have this. I'm going to get. They don't have everything else.
I think it's so special. It's just like,
Well, but if I was getting, I mean, night, yeah, but double, yeah.
Is it a duplex?
No, these are all single family. You guys have to do a lot. That's like a unit, anything like that. That's like this. When you look at a zero lot line, that's each side of the duplex basically is a single family home. Okay. Now we're going to go into a whole another segment of our market, that's condos. And I sold, when I first started in real estate, I sold a gigantic amount of condos, okay? Because as you're seeing, it's a lot more expensive to buy a house than it is to buy a condo. Now, if you had to tell somebody, and you probably have to be careful about saying this, but here's how things work. If the real estate market were to crash, the least secure place you can have your money is going to be in a mobile home. They're going to lose value the fastest. The next most likely property to lose value the fastest are condos. And condos will lose value fast. And you know what? So if the real estate market were to crash tomorrow, and everybody is going to that, God forbid that. But if it were to happen, people who own condos would be really brilliant, okay? Because they own the property in common. And even if you're doing good, 5 other people can bring your value of your property down, okay? It's like that. However, so that tells you risk level on what someone should buy. Now, the most secure in the property that's going to lose the least amount of money is going to be single family home. Because if you can hang on to it and you can make the payment, whether or not the property is going market value is up or down or sideways, it doesn't matter. You're still living in the property, and it's still a good. And you still have to live stuff, so it's still a good investment. But condos are a unique thing in and of themselves. Okay, they haven't actually. They started keeping condo stats, but they didn't do them as extensively. And the other thing is we made them break it out. We asked them as a group to break out condos because condos really are separate units, okay? So they're called class 2. So here is the list price again. So this tells me, you tell me what this tells you. Now again, I find this graph up at the top to be statistically unimportant for me, okay? It does look better in color, but that one is not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the sales between 2011 and 2015, and then the average, and the other reason why they don't keep stats as far back, you guys, is they're statistically, condominiums, because of that same volatility in their value, they're only, again, you can only go back so far. Okay, because I can tell you, in 1997, I had the opportunity to buy a car or condo. They both cost the same amount of money. Okay, $10,000. That car or a condo. Okay, and I actually did not buy the condo because that was more of a risk of an investment. There's nobody knew where the bottom of the market was. There was no association. Nobody was paying dues. I could live in it. But and yes, now today that condo is selling for $200,000, but that's 30 years later. 30 years later, that condo is selling for $200,000. So yes, that would have been a fantastic investment. Yes, I wish I could tell you the story of that, but that was too risky of a place to put your money at that time. Okay, all right. So they're only going back a certain period of time because, again, statistically, values in condominiums are only smart to show for a period of time. Okay, so in 2011, look, the average sales price of condos $195, and how about now? Right now 206, right? You see that in instead of June? Oh, I'm sorry, it was January. January 2011, 195.1, and the increase in value has not. So again, they don't increase in value year over year as well as houses. So now, how do I use this to my advantage? If somebody wants to say, well, I can buy a condo or I can buy a house. Okay. And not only is the house less risky, but what else? Right? I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say, look, absolutely up to you. You guys can buy whatever you want. Let me show you this. Okay. In 2011, condos increased $389,000. In 2012, they went down 1.8. In 2013, they went up 4. In 2014, they went up 1.2. In 2015, they went up 1.51. Okay, so now let's go to 2011. Okay, 2011, down 2.6, but then 2012, 4.77, right? Increased 2.95, increased 3.32, increased 2.80. So which one of these is a smarter investment? If I just look at my equity upgrade, the house. So right now, if somebody were to say, is it a smarter investment to buy a condominium or a house? What can you say? I can say, well, I can tell you, I can show you statistically that a condominium will increase in value less rapidly than a home will. So, and then when it comes to if the market were to go down, right, that means a condo is going to come down faster and a house is going to be able to maintain its value longer. How brilliant are you right now? You're pretty smart right now just by looking at this. You see that? Now, does that mean that a condo is a bad investment? No. No. I just have to know something. It's not going to increase in value as rapidly as a single family is. Okay? Now, if somebody told me the only thing that I can buy is a condo, I would tell them right now, get into the condo as quick as you can. Or if somebody were to tell me I want to buy a mobile home, I'd be like, I said, this is America, you get to do whatever you want. I do not recommend anyone not purchase mobile homes. I've also seen what has happened to people who purchase mobile homes. Mobile homes right now, sometimes they're selling for as much, believe it or not, as the lower tier of our single family. That's why, right? You can buy, I could buy, I can buy a double wide, which is, 1,500 square feet, and like you're living in a trailer.
Yeah, does the value even go up?
Well, they have, yeah, they've come up. But my point being, if the market, and markets go up and down. So I'm saying, statistically, I can prove things to you. And then if you've been in the market for a really long time, you start to see things, and you start to say, yeah, no, I'm not going to get into it. But condos are good investments. They do increase in value. Okay, there's nothing wrong with buying them. I love them. As a matter of fact, I don't want to live in my single family home anymore. I want to live in a condo. Why? Thanks. I don't spend never more than one minute. I'm happy. Okay. And people do that. People will move from single-family homes down to condos. There's actually some wonderful single-family homes that aren't condos in Southport. They're literally single-family home condos. That's what I'm talking about. They just pay they pay a really large amount of dues. They pay, I want to say they pay $300 to $400 a month, but snow plowing's done, yard maintenance is done. It's kind of like it's a hybrid. It's the best of both. They still have a single-family home where I'm not sharing walls, which that's the bummer for most people. They don't want to share walls. But for the upside is they're living in a house that they don't. So I'm just like, hello, that's amazing. Hi, Teresa. Hi. I absolutely could. Be happy to. Thank you. Take care, bye. All right, so then, and then again, I can use the same information when I'm talking to a condominium seller about price, okay? So, and these are averages. Now, believe me when I tell you, there's $1 million condos, okay? There's $1 million condos out there, but the majority, your bread and butter condos, you guys look 195, 217. I mean, what's the highest amount of condos, you know, the average of them? 220. The highest is 226. 226 right now, is that the highest?
December last year.
Yeah. You were absolutely right. What's the least that you can find?
170.
Yep, 175 to 226. Do you see how that's not a big fat spread? Now,
And that's just the average, right?
it's just the average. Okay. Yeah. And but this also tells you where the meat of the market is. This is where this tells you if I'm again $100,000 condo, $100,000 condo is going to sell. Okay, $300,000 condos. But those are going to sell too. People want those. Okay. Right. And then the percentage of change. This tells you your equity build up year over year. So even so, 3.89, 4%, 3 plus that's 4 and 4 is 8%. 1.2 and 151, that's not quite 3%. So 8 and 3 is 10, right? 8 and 3 is 11, that's 11%. So houses went up more, but condos still went up, okay? And that's, nope, I got a discount for 1.8. So they didn't look as much, okay? So that really helps you when you're talking to somebody about a condo. And again, condos are good investments. It's just there are more risks than a single family. Okay. So I can give you appropriate. Okay. And then now we're going to do sales, right? This is number of units. So these are the ones that have sold. Okay. So again, I do these two graphs kind of in the middle. I find to be of zero value to me, although they can be. If somebody loves how they look, they can be of good value. So the sales, this is the number of condos that sold. So if I have to, again, I'm going to compare this over here. Okay. If I have an opportunity to list a house or a condo, I want to do both. But condominiums that are houses that sold. So in June of 2015, 122 condos sold. And in June of 2015, 342 houses sold. So I have a way better chance if I take a single family residence as a listing to sell than I do as a condo. Now condos will still sell. I'm not telling you not to take condos for a listing. I'm just telling you you have a better chance to sell a house than you do a condo. That just makes sense. And there's 8 times the number of houses that are condos. Okay, but there's a ton of condos out there, especially in our metro area. There's lots. When you get into areas like Wasilla, there are not that many condos, so they're statistically they're not as important in the market because there's just not enough of them to influence the market. Okay, so how many sold? So 122 sold in June. So what's the least amount of condos that sold? What's the most? 122 the most? No, 123. 47, 26.
35.
And the most it sold only for 123 days. Okay, so that does tell you something. So new condos on the market, so new, pending and sold, so new on the market, and let's just look at June 2015, 182, pending 116, and sold 122. So they still sell, nothing wrong with them, they still sell, and they're great. They're just so much more affordable than houses. So a lot of buyers, in order to start, have to buy a condo in order to just own anything. And then they're still getting the benefit of the equity upgrade. They're not just getting the benefit of the more equity upgrade in a single family house. But if you had a buyer who's like, I really want to get into the market, I only have like 3%, I only have $6,000, and I can afford $220,000, what do you know right now? Better chance of getting a condo than they do with single family residence. And I'm going to have a conversation with you about, getting in the market, starting to build up your equity is still the best thing that you can possibly do. And then if you pay the condo or you don't like living in it, then after a period of time, you can move out. Plus, the other thing with condos too, there's so many different kinds. Okay, so there's apartment style condos, and typically apartment style condos are sometimes the hardest to sell in the lower price points. Apartment style condos in luxury price points, that's what people want. So for example, my mom moved out of a kind of a fancy schmancy house on the hillside, and she went into a luxury condominium in downtown Anchorage that had an elevator, and it was a ranch style or apartment style. She did not want a townhome style condo with stairs, and she wanted an elevator. Okay, and she wanted a gorgeous parking garage that she could put schwank into every day, right? So you have that part, but at the lower price points, apartment style condos people don't love. Because if you're on the middle floors, then if you're on a top floor, those are great. Okay. Yes, yeah. And then end units are also. Why are end units more valuable than? Mm-hmm. And you might also get some additional space. You might also get some additional windows. Okay. So there was a condo. Let me show you this. There's a condo that just went back on the market, and I was looking at this, and this is in East Anchorage, you guys. Which East Anchorage is generally less valuable.
Do more sell over there?
They sell everywhere. And I mean that with, they really do. They sell everywhere. But I'm going to tell you that East Anchorage, there's a lot more buys over in East Anchorage. You can get more of a house in East Anchorage. Okay, I'm not saying it's better, and I'm saying I've seen some gorgeous, beautiful pocket neighborhoods that I didn't know existed. I mean, I'm like, wow, there's beautiful neighborhoods there, but there's a perception that South Anchorage is better or South Anchorage is more sought after. How's that? Okay, I'm not saying it is better at all. So I want to go to Flex. And you can look up properties many different ways, you guys. If I know who has the property listed, sometimes I look up the property that way versus doing addresses and that type of stuff. And that's just my way to do it. I'm not telling you, it's just easy. It's faster for me than it is sometimes to do a searches. Okay. Sure, remember my password. Just let me in. So, did you know that you can look up people this way? Mm-hmm. So you can type into the search bar in Flex, the real estate licensee. And if you know that they're the one who has the property listed. So I just want to see what she has listed right now. Okay, and it'll show you for the last year what somebody has listed. And it's this one right here. So this is called Aurora Square. Take a look at this. Does anybody know where the condo? These are condos. Do you guys know where these are?
The rooftop one.
Yes.
Oh, that you were talking about on the first day, right?
Yes, these are the ones that I'm telling you. Now look at these. So look at these photos. Okay. These are, do you see this? Kind of like this looks like a Kia. This is $409,000. With, and you have this rooftop with the view. Right. I'm right back with you, babe. Right.
Did you see it in the picture?
No,
I know, but it's, that's exactly where they are.
Right there.
That's where they are. And they do have, I mean, look at I love those closets. Love those
Is it
closets.
like see-through?
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
it's
really
glass.
like that.
It's glass, you guys.
Like I like it, but like if you're like not
Messy?
like clean,
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
that's not gonna be good.
And most people are not clean.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. But look at, these are those glass see-through, and that's the other thing too that I'm not a lover of. I think they look lovely, but I'm not a lover of somebody being able to see into your garage and know what kind of car you drive. Those are those see-through glass.
I think that's like
That's like a
people
private.
more like they'll like break there, and I think there's more of a incentive to break
Yeah, and it's very much, they launched this because it's kind of very hipster, right? But this is $409,000 in East Anchorage. And the dues, you guys, that's the other thing. But this is an end unit as well, so they're getting
Oh, the
they're getting
dues are only 300.
but that's $300 freaking a month. And this is a brand new complex, which just means these dues are just gonna go up.
Yeah. Well, when I was looking, the dues, like I pay 225 for dues.
Yeah.
You know, at first it was 180 and it's already went up
Yeah,
before I even purchased it. But yeah, dues are expensive here. There was stuff for $400.
Yes.
In East Anchorage.
Yes.
You know, it's just like
you're just like, what?
yeah, and they don't have a yard or
Yeah,
anything. So
yeah.
I'm like, what are you paying for?
Exactly. But what are the, so these are 3-bedroom end unit, Aurora Square, architecturally designed, modern condo. It's a clean slate, tidy small community on the square.
Right off the road.
Oh yeah, you're right on, and this is
What is that,
Northern
Lake Otis?
Lights and Boniface is where you are, okay? Floor to ceiling windows, private rooftop. Now the private rooftop terraces, I was driving by there. I taught at HFC last night again, and I take Northern Lights to get there, because you can't get there on Lake Otis. So as I was driving by them, I was looking at all the terraces on top, and people have some beautiful, and they have decked out these terraces. Those are they're really very cool. But I just kind of, and I was just looking in the, like, would I, because in theory, it's 1,672 square feet, so that's a lot. And condos are, the other thing you need to know about condos are measured interior paint to paint. They're not measured on the exterior like homes are. So every time a condo that people are like, oh, that's small, 1,600 square feet is going to be like a 1,700, 1,800, 1,900 square foot house. So that should help you out. That's a lot more square footage than you think. Okay, usable. Floor to ceiling windows, private rooftop terraces, all bedrooms on the same floor, open space, Italian tile, cars, hardwood floors, infrared radiant heat, blah blah blah. So I mean, and for somebody like me who's kind of looking for, I want an upscale, nice place to live. I'm not ready for the elevator, and today maybe, but most of the time no, I'm not ready for the elevator. I'm not ready, and I don't want to spend $1 million. But I'm thinking $400,000. Now the other thing, what do you think of them architecturally?
I think they're really modern, but I don't think that like fits in Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah, with having the flat roof, you can't really have it. I mean, you're gonna be
But
shoveling.
you get terrace space, and I mean and by the way, go look at every city in America. This is what condominiums are looking like. So what they're trying to do, and remember, because when we go look at those photos, we say, oh my God, houses are so ugly in Anchorage. We're really trying to build up some architectural interest and have nicer properties. But because there's probably 1 or 2, maybe 3 condominium complexes that I can think of. There's one downtown that looks like this, and I think there's another one that I'm not really.
There's one that if you're headed out to the valley, it's on the left-hand side of your Anchorage. I think
Yes.
it's low-income housing.
Yeah.
Right next to that.
Yep. So I mean, they're trying to upgrade and increase the architectural aesthetic. Also, there's some super luxe ones that haven't been built yet that are in the $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 range, and I can show you those. Hang on. Oh, shoot, she isn't there. She and her mom had these listed, so let me see. Let me see if it might be this, might not.
1.2.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this might be actually, no, that's the actual house, but
And that's downtown.
give me a second, I'll show you the ones. Yep, these are condos, you guys. See that? And this is 875.
That's really pretty.
But what do you notice? It's the same, do you see the same?
I think that was not the location of the side, right? So
Yeah.
I'd rather get that over.
Right, but the difference in price is $400,000, so you might not afford
Right.
that, is what I'm saying. But see, I'm just trying to tell you that this is kind of what they're trying to do, and let's see what it says as far as detail goes on the listing. Anchorage's first waterfront condominium in decades is available, located on the west side overlooking the bluff and Bootlegger's Cove. So again, we're putting it in one of the schwankiest areas of Anchorage that we possibly can. With west and northerly views of the inlet, study and deck access from both master and great room, gourmet kitchen, offers warm, sophisticated palette, private rooftop deck. Again, so they're going, because you're not getting a yard, people are they still want outdoor space. That's been a big thing with condos, so they're doing that rooftop decks. But these have elevators and underground secure garage. Elegant, urban, and modern. So this may be the way that condos are going to start to go and what they're going to start to look and what buyers are starting to look for. And you've got them in the super high price point and you've got them in a lower price point. But I'm with you, if I'm going to spend $800,000, I might look at these. Just because of location. If I have the opportunity to have those kind of views. Okay, so what do you think? What are you buying? Am I buying over in Valley Village? Okay. So again, condominiums can be luxe, high-end, super fast condominiums. Okay. Okay, and then the last one I want to show you, no, there's like two more. So this is that same look at supply and demand. So when I'm going on a listing presentation, now look at how segmented condos are. You see how segmented condos are? Houses are not this segmented, okay? There's not. So you've got, let me see where we start, $99,000 or less. So right now, this tells me if I've got somebody who can spend $100,000, I can do that, but they're gonna have to buy a condo. So this really helps you understand, these stats help you understand where a buyer or a seller might be situated, okay? So $100,000 or 6% of the market, I can get them in there. $100,000 to 129, that's 10%. See, 130 to 149 is 8, 150 to 169 is 9, 170 to 199, 13, 200 to 224, 11, 225 to 249, 14, 250 to 299, 300, that's 10%. 300 to 399, 12, 400 to 499, 2, and they do a 500 and above. That's 5% of the market. Okay, but there's still buyers in that 5% of the market because there's somebody like me who I still want to live in a really nice condo. I still want space, but I just don't want to do yard living. So I can tell you that high-end condos are a good thing to have. And there are really those. Okay. So average list price you're seeing because there's so many that are under that 99, right? That skews condos down quite a bit because they go down a lot more than high end does. So average list price is $215. Average list price at time of sale is $212. Average sold price $208. Look at that, 97% sale to original list and sale to list price 98.10. Okay. So this is still a super active market. It's not, it's just, and again, statistically, there's, like I told you, there's probably, I don't know, and I have to get a count of meetings so that you can look, but there is way more houses than there are condos. Okay, this is by sheer number. And then anybody interested in Eagle River? I know I got some people tuning in for Eagle River. Hi, Jennifer. So here's Eagle River. Okay, and because why is Eagle River important to you?
Oh, look at that.
It's,
Yeah, yeah, this is single family homes, we've moved from condos, this is single family homes. I would have printed it out, I think if they had a condo, then I would have printed it out, but I don't think they did. But, look at the average sale price in Eagle River, 378. Let's compare that to the average sale price in Anchorage. Residential properties, here we go. 378, 381, look at that, that used to be really, really different. Eagle River is now basically a bedroom community in Anchorage. Okay, and then average list price at the time of sale, 372 in Eagle River, 374. Average sold price, 368, average sold price, 373. Look at that. Yeah, isn't that interesting? And the percent of sales to original list, 96.64, and this one is 98.55. Look at that. And then percent sales to list, 99.04, 99.71. Okay, but look at how segmented this market is. Look at this. So you've got $149,000 or less, 0%. We have, at least in the muni, 179 or less, we have 2%. So what does it tell you right now? They have no properties under $150,000. 150 to 199, 0%. You see that? 200 to 249, 3% in Anchorage, 6% in Eagle River. So if I'm in that price point, maybe I need to think about it, see where I'm at. What does it tell me? There's a little bit more inventory in Eagle River. Oh, are you willing to do a 30-minute drive? Are you willing to do a 20-minute drive? Are you willing to brave the Eagle River Hills? I mean, there is a little bit more inventory. So a lot of us sometimes are looking, I'm having to push you out of Anchorage a little bit in order to get you what you're looking for. Okay, now I can also tell you 249, I didn't print the price points, but I can get a complete house if I'm, you're welcome. I can get a complete house for this amount of money if I'm willing to drive to the Matsu Valley. So the Matsu Valley for $220,000, I can get a 1,500 square foot ranch home on an acre. But it's in the Matsu Valley and I have to drive for an average of 2 hours a day. So I'm gonna have to decide whether or not I'm willing to do that, okay? So 250 to 274, 4%. And we're 250 to 300, they have 9 in Eagle River. 275 to 299 in Anchorage, 7. 300 to 349, 12% Anchorage, 14% in Eagle River. So again, if I can't find you what you like in Anchorage, I'm going to take you out to Eagle River and show you around, because now I have 12 plus 14, now I have 26%. And if I just take you out to Eagle River, I have 14% more properties that I can show you. Okay, moving up to the next one, 350 to 399, 13 here, 19 in Eagle River. $400 to $500,000, 18 and 13 respectively. Now here's where you start to get the really big segment, right? Is in Anchorage you have the 500 to 749. And here we have 23% in Anchorage. They have 15% there. So way different. Okay. And then 755 to $1 million, they have 1%, and 750 to $1 million, we have 7 plus 4. We've got more. Okay. So don't forget Eagle River, because when you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not finding what I'm looking for, expand your criteria. Talk about other areas. You know, be willing to look. Be willing to look outside that one area. Okay. You guys have any questions on this? Okay. Do you get the value of knowing this? Do you understand how important this is to look at this? Do you know how smart you will sound and look and be when you show this information to someone who is sitting there going, you look like you're really young. Well, what do you know? You're like, you're absolutely right, but let me help you out here. Here's what I know about the market. And I have all these market statistics that I've prepared for you. Did you just hear what I said? I have all these market statistics that I have prepared for you. Notice what I didn't say? Here's what I prefer to do. Now, what does that make you look like?
Either your stuff.
Well, more than that you were able to do the analysis. So I literally could also, if I wanted to, I could cut that off right there, and I could say these statistics are brought to you by Trees of Jim Block. That's right. How do you look at that? Any questions on these? This is probably one of my favorite things. And people say, you love statistics? I'm like, I love this. You know, and if you wanted to do the same thing, go to any market area that you wanted to be in, you want to look at this kind of stuff, you'll know exactly what I know. And now you'll be able to kind of view things from always look, whenever I'm looking at something, I'm looking at it from a buyer's perspective, I'm looking at it from a seller's perspective. And what does this mean to a buyer, what does this mean to a seller? Okay, because I still have to do listings. Okay, so I'm going to go back to AlaskaRealEstate.com. So they have, I showed you the condos, I showed you the condos, I showed you the condos, and then Eagle River, the only, that one breakout for Eagle River is the only one they have. That just, it is what it is. Now, if you want to go to Matsu does something really interesting. I do not have permission to view that content. Well, yes, I do. Interesting. I just printed everything from it, so you better let me in. Oh, you're telling me I don't have permission to view
They
it?
log you out if you did.
Do you think they did that?
Probably.
Shows that I'm still in.
Trying to refresh it and see if something.
Okay, it's a good idea.
Will it show you the peninsula?
Yeah, it absolutely will. You were right. Yes, it will. We can look at that too. So again, I'm coming over to statistics. So we looked at Anchorage. Here's Matsu. Matsu breaks it out a little bit differently. Very, very interesting. They have the Wasilla core commute area because this is where a lot of people want to be. But again, if I've got somebody who can only afford you guys 365, you know, look, 334 to 365, 344. So what's our high and what's our low? 365 looks to be my high, right? 334 is my low. So I'm at 244, 260, 251, 260. So I'm between basically 250 and 260. If I can only afford a single family residence at $250,000, I might have to send you to the valley. You can still own a single family residence and you're only an hour away. And please let's put that into perspective just a little bit, because just because I don't want to drive the highway and I don't want to drive the hours doesn't mean that you don't have people that are coming from, are you ready, LA, where, or, oh my dear sweet Jesus, Seattle, where you can have a 45-minute commute to go, you know, to go like what would take us 6 minutes. Do you know what I'm saying? Just like sheer volume. So you have people who are very used to doing commutes. So when you say it's an hour commute to the valley, they're like, okay, it's not that big of a deal to them. Okay. Now the difference is it's not it's not for you to go 6 miles. You have to drive how many miles? 47 twice, right? So that's a bigger deal. Plus you have the weather. You know, you've got to add that in. Okay. So 2000. Okay. Again, look at the pyramiding. Look at the value. There's still the valley is increasing in value year over year. And if I had $250,000, I'm looking at I'm looking at a 0 lot line in Anchorage. I'm looking at a nice condo. Okay, I'm looking at the same thing in Eagle River, or I can go to the valley and I can get a house on an acre. And that's why there's a lot of people going out there. Now, I will tell you there's a swing. There's a swing too. There's people that go out there and say, I just don't want to do the drive or the commute. You know, so that's kind of the positive and the negative on that. Okay. Okay. Now, what else do we have? They have the Wasilla core commutes. They've got the trends. Again, I find this to be of no value to me. They've got the core commute area. They've got how many listings, actives. So this really helps you, right? Solds, they may do solds and actives on the same page, so it's actually lovely for you. So they've got sold, 129 houses sold, and active 382. Good for you to know. So and then again, if I have to take a listing out there, I'm in these statistics right now, you guys. And then sold market analysis. This is one of my favorites. I love that. This actually breaks it down, you guys, to areas. This, and the sold market analysis, we have that in Anchorage. I thought I cleared that out. Hang on. We'll go back. And then they break it out to Palmer, you guys. They break it out to the Wasilla, Palmer. And then the sold market analysis, this is on land. This is a really big, fat, hairy deal. They have so much land in Mat-Su that land is its very own, very big market. So if somebody wanted you to list a lot in Wasilla or Palmer, I don't want you to be like, yeah, I don't know about that. Land sells. Land sells out there, where it's tougher to sell land in acres because there's just not that much inventory. Okay. And then you talked about Kenai Peninsula. Greater Soldotna, sold market analysis, lower Kenai. It says Greater Soldotna, lower Kenai, Greater Kenai, sold market analysis, upper Kenai, and upper Kenai. So now, I don't know anything about the Kenai Peninsula whatsoever, but I know all of a sudden, just by reading those titles, I know 4 things. What do I know? Michelle Williams. Hi, Michelle Williams in the Kenai office, Soldotna office. What are you doing? I'm sorry, it's not fuzzy. Can you please, there's a technical support thing. If you hit it, that you can do. I can't do anything about that. I'm so sorry. You back out and once you're in, or go back onto your, when they sent you the feed and it says hit this if you're having technical difficulties. And I'm so, well, you are so smart. And we're actually going over Kenai stats right now. I'm sorry. Well, don't worry about what you're seeing. Listen, can you hear me? Not now? How about now? Can you hear me now? Nope, not on the fuzz. Okay. All of us. Okay. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to take, no problem at all. Thank you for calling me. Typically when I'm teaching, I'm not going to answer, but it was interesting that you called and I was just getting ready to do the Kenai Soldotna stuff. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang up. I'm going to have them come and take a look at it. And then we're going to go to Kenai. We're going to go to Kenai Peninsula. Okay. Okay. Well, can you hear me though? Can you hear? Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, thanks for that, but I'll take a 10-minute break right now and I'll have them come down. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Okay, guys, we're gonna go ahead and take our break so that I can have them come down and take a look at our tea. That's it. I know, and this is dry, boring material. I get it, but it's exciting when you get it.
It's just so you know.
Yeah.
That's stuff I need to know.
Yeah. And it's things that are already done for you, and you can just relax the back and go, I'm just so smart. Oh, what am I doing? Done. Hey there, I just had somebody call me from the Soldotna office that said everything was working wonderful, and then it just went buzz and I can't hear a thing. Thank you so much, sir. Bye-bye. Yeah, and I've got these, Russell, I've got these folks that are that are remote, that they are on this, like, they're on me like none other, man.
Okay.
Oh, and what am I doing? I need to go upstairs. Oh, I know what I need to do. I had to go upstairs and do 2 things. Do you need anything from upstairs? Nope. You sure?
test. Testing, testing, 1, 2. Testing, testing. Testing lapel mic. Testing lapel mic, 1, 2. Test. Testing, 1, 2. Testing, testing. Testing lapel mic. Testing lapel mic, 1, 2. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2.
Oh, thank you. How many times did it take you to take the test?
I took it twice, but it's because the first time I was like, oh, the math's line up great for me. And that broke me necessarily good on something.
Really? That's funny, because yesterday I was studying.
And my friend, we took the class together, and I was like, you should study the math. And I was like, it's math. It's really true.
And then he's like, you should really study it. And I was like, no. So now I'm gonna go study it today.
Definitely, and make sure you're doing it right, because I thought I was doing it right at one point. And they'll put the answers there, that if you do, if you do it that a certain way, it's wrong. So you have to do it this other way and find the other answer. I am so blown.
I hate that.
I do too. And that's why I like avoided it.
Yeah.
But you have to avoid it.
Okay, I'll definitely study that. What did it tell you what your grade was? Or just like pass?
When I passed, it doesn't tell you the grade, but when you fail, it didn't tell you like how many you missed.
Okay.
And so I did the math to figure out if I did wrong.
Did you pass the Alaska part the first time?
I passed the statutes, we were really a lot.
Uh-huh.
I want to be a lawyer, so I know how to study that stuff, but the other part, I was kind of.
Yeah. And I'm nervous.
I'm usually nervous. Just focus on that, if you're like trying to avoid
Yeah.
it, like just do it. And make sure it's like explained to you, like your friends good at explaining that and really good at that, and explain it to you. So that's what I needed to like break it down and actually do the problems,
Mm-hmm.
and then I hope
That's a good idea. What did you do your pre-licensing for?
treat stuff.
Okay. And then I do Jerry Boys. How did you study? Did you take a practice test?
I had practice tests. I had on my phone. There was like this app I bought. I don't think I still have it. It was like real estate. But that helped me a lot because a lot of the questions on it
The test?
were similar, or the ones that are on the test. There's this thing that you can print out. I printed it out. I think it was just the like a practice thing. I think it was the correspondence.
Okay.
And
So
some
is
of
it a real
those,
estate exam thing?
yeah. Something like that. And it has math on it too. So I just did that on my phone and on my iPad, and then it helped me a lot. Like I was like in class and I like wasn't even paying attention to class.
And
I was
you're
just,
just doing that.
that.
Have you closed on any houses yet?
I'm so grateful.
Do you like working with that way?
I like it. And because
Yeah. The office here is so pretty. I like fell in love with it when I first came in 6 months ago. Do you have like family or friends in this business?
they're not like licensed. I have some friends, but my mom and dad were property owners,
Oh, okay.
so but they weren't licensed at all.
That's like my parents, real estate investors, but they're not licensed.
Yeah. Did they own a apartment?
Mm-hmm. Down in Homer, you know.
My mom's like interested in like one of the condos. She wants to do food home there. She's looking everywhere. There's one in Philly. Yeah,
How many units?
she's like going to do it. She told me. I was telling her.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. My parents are in the middle of buying like $1 million 16 unit.
Yeah,
Apartment
that's
in
exactly
Newark.
what she wants.
Yeah, it's a huge investment.
Yeah. Well, my mom owns property here that is worth it.
Okay,
And so she
yeah.
would tend to be on it and just finish that and
Mhm.
that, so.
So do you have lots of leads or anything, or what do you mean?
I started getting them. I haven't really been doing it. So
Uh-huh.
I was like, shut up. Now, I wanted to do bootcamp next. I did most of bootcamp last time, but I didn't grasp everything just
Uh-huh.
because I like was
So
still
much
learning.
information.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to learn this and trying to learn this stuff for the test, and
Mhm.
I feel so overwhelmed. Like I just have all this information.
Yeah. The test is so like not hard like
Uh-huh.
that, but it was hard to like study and like I like studied for it too.
A lot.
Yeah.
And I've been studying so much. And every day I'm like done studying, I feel like I did a lot, and then the next day I'm like, did I study enough? Like, and it's 6 more days. How long after you did your pre-licensing did you take the test?
It was pretty soon actually, probably 7 months.
Yeah, that's what I was. I just want to get it over with. I'm an esthetician, and before that, you had to do like the same thing. You do your whole schooling, and then you have to wait a whole entire month because they want you to retain information. And then you take it, and it's called the state board exam. And then you don't get your results back for another month. So it's so stressful. Like you took the test, and you can't relax because you're like, I'm good if I pass. Yeah, so you're like at job interviews, they're like, do you have your license? I don't know.
I don't know that. Well, that's tough because you don't know if you're wasting one whole month.
Exactly.
You need to keep studying or not.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly, I hated it. And I passed by like, you needed to get a 75, just like this, my God. Yeah.
how long do you think that?
So I'm not doing that anymore, because I wanted to get into this, but I did it for a year. It was fun. I did real estate,
I hear though it takes 5 years, is what I just hear. I to like build up your clientele, so it's like costs of business.
In real estate?
Yeah.
That's what I heard too. Do you have a second job?
I
Oh, okay.
I decided to my job is focused
Yeah, so I have a job at a restaurant, and I work evenings. So I can do this during the day, so I can actually like do this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we didn't have the other job, before, and like, I was talking to a friend who already works there, I was like, I need this job. So she went and begged the head backer.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so I finally got it.
Are you military?
My dad was.
Oh, okay. Are you from Alaska?
Not from, but I live here, on the
Okay.
What's my name?
Where'd you graduate? In Alaska?
I went to UVA, I just graduated this year.
Oh, college?
Yeah, and then, I went to junior, for high school.
Okay. There's just so many subjects.
And then just like your mom as well with it. And I usually have a questions, you know, if you want to do like a quick thing. So you might want to do like 5 questions. Or like,
How do you do the question?
maybe.
Oh, question.
Yeah, so if you want the answers, I always say it on selection. And so it tells you the right one, and that, so you should change that. Also, that's a whole, and I would screenshot it too.
Oh, yeah.
Just so like I would know I have a question. I don't know to ask me what it is, but I can review it.
Go on. Are the questions hard on the test? Are they easier than all the questions that you would practice?
I think some of them are like freaky off the bat. Some of them are tricky, but all of them are tricky. Or there would be similar ones to that, but they might be like a couple things changed. This is that. Are you planning on staying in February?
How many people, what's it called, the Bootcamp professional? Are there a lot of people in there?
Not in all of them, a lot of these people are leaving.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Okay, when I came in interviews like a long time really sure for that one, and you have to make 2 sales to get out. And then you get one.
Either your cubicle or an office. I think it depends. I think cubicle, the quoting is about 18 million a year. So they just take that out of your split. So like if you sell $100,000 on a house, 40% is coming to use. But that 40% goes towards your 1,800.
How much is in office?
I think it's like 100. Yeah.
Are there any offices available?
I have to name about that.
She was saying some 19-year-old girl lives here, just started in school with her child.
But she's working with an experienced person.
Oh.
So that's something.
That would be nice.
Yeah, just do love tourism, and then I'm starting to do open houses and I used to do them, but now it's very good.
What do you do, just sit there and
I'll go to the beach and talk to them and try to see if they're representative now. Probably and she went into it. Oh, well, this is sorry. Yeah, so.
Yeah, all this is so stressful. There's so many different things to do. The salary and the environment.
It's stressing me out, like, I've been like really shy, so I can like get out there and like be more open, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with me, I'm like trying to just be like, oh, I can
I know it's hard to do that. So do you do a lot of full time?
I started, I at first wasn't, but I think it's because I didn't call for the past I was here. I just walked in, but if you tell them like, hey, I'm taking full time, then I usually get maybe a call every session.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but please forgive me.
I'm just trying to make sure that everything I've done. They're working now.
Okay. Okay. So there's the feed, so there I'm not there. So is it working? I'm not there. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, there I am. There's me walking in. Oh, that's freaking frightening. Okay, so I don't know anything. I was telling you, I do not know anything about Kenai, but what do I know now? What can you tell?
Greater spot and greater Kenai are just two like segments.
Well, you've got Greater Soldotna, Greater Kenai, Lower Kenai, Upper Kenai. See that? So now I'm like, oh, okay. So based on how they're breaking this out, this tells me there's 4 different markets. So now that I know, and again, I know absolutely nothing. Because I buy my fish at the store. So I know absolutely nothing. So here we go. So this tells me Greater Soldotna area, which tells me it's consisted of California Ski Beach, California Ski, K Beach, good. South of Soldotna, Kasilop, Soldotna, Ridgeway, Sterling, and Funny River, okay? And it tells me, again, look at these prices. Now this is gonna be, again, single family residences, right? 207 to, oh, look at 207 to 293. Look at that equity buildup. Look in 2015 right now. This is a statistically significant number, guys.
Wow.
In 2015, the market increased 10%, and they only went down 0.02% in 2013. But in 2 years, the market has increased 15.51% in value. All of a sudden, I'm a lot more interested in Kenai than I used to be, or Soldotna, pardon me, than I used to be. So in 2011, 213, in 2015, same. So if you thought about this, the same house. So same house, 2013. I'm sorry, I'll try it one more time.
In 2011, 213,975. Okay. 2015, 257, 312. Significant?
Yeah.
Okay, all of a sudden, I'm interested. Okay. Now I'm gonna close that. And then number of units. Oh, but look at this, you guys. What does that tell you? There's not a ton. There's not a ton on the market, guys. Right? So we have $16 to $46 listings, yeah. 37, so, oh no, these are probably the solds. 16, lowest amount in 2012, February 2012, there were 7 listings sold. Greatest amount, I see 46. Anybody see anything bigger than 46? 55 listings. And then these are what's listed, sold. Here's new listings. So, right now, 70 listings on the market. Okay, so that tells you something. That's a pretty firm market. Not a lot of inventory again. Okay, great. So here's the trends. I hate this, I think, right? Yep, I hate that one. So I don't look at them, but that tells you when it says trends, I'm not going to look at it. Now let's look at the low, and then this is going to be broken out. And this is more, this gives you an idea. Total listings, though, there was 448. They break it out very much into a lot more stratus than we did. Does that make sense to you guys? Last year versus this year, just in the Neeltje Happy Valley, 60 listings, 75 active. Do you see that? So there's more listings than that. They've got it broken. They've really got it segmented out. So I have to take a look at the whole, the market area as a whole, because for the second there I was like, well, that's not that many listings. That's what I was thinking. But there's more listings. Okay. So that sold market analysis is going to be super valuable for you. Lower Kenai, oh, just land. Okay. So look at how much land sells. That's a big fat deal right there. 130 listings in the Neeltje Happy Valley on land. 130 last year, 135 this year. Okay, so those are those. Annual sales by last quarter. So this is going to really help you out.
If you're not licensed, can you look at this on MLS?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
You cannot. You have to get licensed. I had to log in order to see this information. Mm-hmm. But then, and again, days on market are going to be a much bigger deal. Why? Just look at how much longer it takes to sell a property. Do you see that? Okay. Greater Kenai average sales price. Let's look at that. So Greater Kenai. Wow, look at you guys. Look at this buildup in this market. Right. That's very significant, actually. So I'm thinking that's pretty interesting. But again, if I had to go down and look at property in Kenai, I want to look at the stats and be like, okay, what's going on? I mean, I don't have any idea, but I'm taking an absolute outsider. I don't know anything about this market, to be honest with you. Number of units, now I care about this. How many units are selling? Okay, how many units are listed? How many units are selling? And you guys, these are residences, not land, not everything put together. These are going to be single-family residences. And what qualifies as a single-family residence and what doesn't, that's going to be statistically significant in an area where there's so much rec land. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Then Greater Kenai trends, I'm not looking at that because I don't find that to be interesting. Sold market analysis, again, Upper Kenai. And then sold market analysis just in land. So if somebody wants me to list a property in Kenai or Soldotna, a land listing, there's a significant amount of inventory that's moving in land down there. So that's going to be something I'm all of a sudden I'm much more interested in doing. Okay, and it's drivable. And if you do like to have fun in the sun down there, there you go. Then the only other one, Kodiak, I'm just not going to tell you the truth. You're probably not going to. So they have Anchorage School District maps, Kenai Borough School District maps, and MLS area maps. Why are maps important to folks? School boundaries. Mm-hmm. So something I think that you guys should have in your buyer's guides and your seller's guides, sellers know typically sellers know what schools are around them. Sometimes they do not because they have their children are not in school, boundaries change, or their children are in private school. Okay, so I want to look at school boundary maps. And I typically like to do, oh, here you go. They have projected enrollment, historical enrollment. Let's see, I'm just going to take a look at this. I don't know what this, oh, perfect, yeah. Elementary boundaries. People really care about elementary boundaries, you guys.
Is that just for schools or is that like areas?
These are just schools, you guys. So it shows you where east, west, Bartlett, Service, South. And believe it or not, if you don't already know this, there are going to be people who only want their child to attend one school. Okay, and then there's people who are willing to drive and get exemptions, zone exemptions, or for their kids. Now, I do understand, and I cannot verify this for a fact. When my kids were in school, my youngest just graduated in 2014. My oldest graduated in 2013. Zone exemptions were easy to get. I understand zone exemptions. They do not want to do zone exemptions. You have one? Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
They changed.
Yeah, they changed. So people really care where they're zones can change. So it's really important that you know what's going on when it comes to that. I used to have these printed out just in part of my stuff. And then MLS area maps for me, there's a couple of maps that are just vitally important. And I will actually be printing these out for you and I'll do it. Just this one now. This is the only one I do in color. They'll give you this. That is the most important map in my world right there. That's the MLS area maps. Okay? Because I say area 15, I know exactly where that is. I know exactly where those boundaries are. When somebody tells me where they want to live, I need to know in what area here that it's in. Or if somebody all of a sudden tells me they want their kid to go to South Anchorage High School, I know that I have to look in area 30 and 35. Okay, I just can't look in area 25 and 30, yes.
Is there a map that can tell you like where different neighborhoods are? Because that's what I need to learn. It's like I know where Ocean View is, but like people around office use that a lot, and I don't know where to get that information to be familiar with it.
I mean, yes and no. One of the things that you can do is you can start, those taxi maps that we have upstairs.
Yeah.
Okay, so those taxi maps that are in the production rooms, and maybe what you do is you just take an area and you just start going through there and just start going through an area and all of a sudden you'll see, okay, oh, there's Ocean View, oh, but when you consider Ocean View, and there's a little bit of a.
I was just using that as an example.
Yeah. Another, there's certain neighborhoods that are going to be super popular. College Village, College Gate, Rogers Park, City View. I mean, those types of things. I can help you if you want to see a map. I can kind of help you where certain neighborhoods are. But you really do have to kind of get out there and look. And it does depend on books. And don't be afraid to ask some of us. So where exactly? So. And the reason I say this is that a lot of people consider, let me put it to you this way. So I grew up on Lower Hillside. My parents lived, do you know where O'Malley Golf Course is? You know where O'Malley is. So do you know where the zoo is? So my parents' house is about a half mile before the zoo, right across from O'Malley Golf Course. Okay? So I lived on Lower Hillside.
Is that O'Malley and Green?
Yes. Yes, my parents' house is directly across the street, and that's where I grew up my whole life. Okay, I didn't live on Upper Hillside. I didn't live, on Huffman Road. I lived on what we consider to be Lower Hillside. So I oftentimes hear people say, "Well, I live on Hillside," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, where do you live?" Because I might say that because I'm very familiar with that area. Well, I live in Independence Park, and I think to myself, Independence Park is not Hillside. You know what I'm saying? The Hillside. So. People's definition of neighborhoods depends on who they are and what they consider. So if you consider the start of O'Malley Road to be the hillside, then maybe their estimation is correct. But that for whatever reason, my guesstimation of that is not.
It's just dependent on every person.
Correct, okay? So, but this particular map is super helpful because this is how you have to search for properties. Okay, now, when you go through here, there's 25 different maps of all of the different MLS area, you guys. So, that's Fairbanks, North Scarborough. Obviously, we're not in Fairbanks, nor are you gonna go very often, but that takes up a lot. Haynes and Skagway. Probably not gonna be selling a ton of property. Juneau area wide, Juneau downtown, Juneau, not so much Seward. Kenai, now, if Kenai interests you, here's all the different market areas in Kenai and how they have them really segmented out. Do you see that? Kenai, Homer, Ketchikan, Kodiak. And these, and properties are linked to these maps. Now, map Sioux, that starts on page 20 of 25. So do you see how this is very strange? How they kind of region these out. Okay, here's Houston, Wasilla, Palmer, Sutton, Knik. All right, then we get into the Prince William Sound and then Southeast. Okay, but these maps, when it comes to searching, are a really big deal. And the most important, at least the most important one to me, yes, I did the Mat-Su maps. I didn't do Kenai or Soldotna, but this Anchorage map, which is map number 2, is the most important. And I have this in your, I call it your brain book. You know, you need a brain book. You need this all the time. I actually shrunk this down, and I have this put on the back of my business card. So when people want to talk to me about purchasing properties, like these are your areas right here. So we call area 5 downtown. So you see it right here. So that's area 5, okay, is what's considered to be true downtown. Area 10 is considered to be Spenard, okay? One of the things you need to look at, area 10, Spenard goes all the way to the airport. So, and part of that is in some pretty swanky neighborhoods. So we call that Spenard. West Anchorage is West Tudor Road, that's area 15. So I always tell people tell me all the time, I live in Sand Lake. People say, you live in South Anchorage. I'm like, no, I don't. I live in West Anchorage. Look at the damn map. I live in West Anchorage. Do you see this? This is west. This is east. This is south. This is north. I live in West Anchorage. People say, oh no, you live in South Anchorage. So that's what I'm telling you, people's perception. Okay. Area 35. So area 20 is Diamond, what we call Diamond South. Area 30, Abbott Road to DeArmond. 35, East Tudor to Abbott. 40, Seward to Boniface. 45, Boniface to Muldoon. When you get into the Post Road in Glen, there's not tons of listings here because most of this is owned by the federal government. And then you get into Eagle River and Vicinity is 90 and 100. Also, that's how you search for property too. Okay. So if you know that somebody wants to be in a certain school district, then I'm only searching on that school district. If you know that they want to be in a certain area downtown, I'm only searching in that area. But sometimes you're going to have to, I want to live in South Anchorage. Well, I have searched from 15, 35, 20, 20, 30, and 25 to get something in South Anchorage. Does that make sense to
Can
you?
you show us how you do that on the search thing? Like,
Sure.
You just type it in, like on the search thing, take 15. Or...
Yeah. Let me see, I should have Flex up, right? Let's see, I thought I had Flex. Yep, there's Flex. So if I'm gonna come up here to a full search, okay? And I'm gonna say residential, and I wanna look at just actives, okay? So I'm going to hit this.
Okay, so to get the areas, you have to do the full search.
No, watch, no, it'll pop up too. But I'm gonna do, let's say I wanna do just South Anchorage, so I'm gonna go here. Do you see that? I'm gonna highlight those areas.
Use control.
Yeah, I used control. So I did 15, 20, 25, and 30, because that's what a lot of people consider to be South Anchorage, even Diamond. So I know that I live in West Anchorage. I know that. I can look at a map and I can tell that. But for whatever reason, we can, other folks consider that South Anchorage. So you want to ask someone, so do you consider Jewel Lake to be South Anchorage, or do you consider that to be West Anchorage? And most people will say, that's South Anchorage. Okay, so you have to ask, just because when somebody says, I want to live in South Anchorage, what does that mean? East Anchorage, what does that mean? Okay? So when I live in Acton, and then I come down through here, and I say, what do I, bedrooms, bathrooms, and possibly price point. Is that helpful? And this also tells me just generally, and let me just see how many results, how many properties are listed just without anything other than just the straight up. 382 properties are listed in those 4 areas, active on the market right now. And then you're gonna go all the way from least expensive. And then, do you also know that you can sort properties? So I can sort ascending or descending right here. So, oh, looky here, $150,000, there's a property on the market. Needs lots of repairs. Who's buying this? The bank will accept only cash only, $150,000. Let's see if they have any photos. Oh, they've got 6. Wow, this looks awesome, doesn't it? So can I buy a house for $150,000? I wonder what it looks like inside. I'm sure you couldn't. And you're gonna have to pay cash for it. So, okay, so here's a 0 lot line on Thimbleberry, okay? So the next least, after $150,000, the next least expensive is $185,000. So where's your sheet that says what's the cost to live in a house in Anchorage today? So what's number 1? What does it say?
182, 426, and it's 2-bedroom house, 750 square feet.
This is 185. So we are almost, do you see how that's almost on the money? So that what they're showing right here is right here. This is 990 square feet, 2 bedrooms, no garage, for $180,000. And then, so that's why it's super important. Oh, and the first, that makes sense. So here you go. And this is a 0 lot line right there. Do you see that? So it looks like a duplex, but you're purchasing as a single family home, half of a duplex, basically. How's
Yeah, that's not the same.
It was like,
Yeah.
on there, but this one's only
Remember, those are average prices. Remember, that's average. Okay, so they didn't say exact, they just said average. So this is what a 0 lot line looks. And why would a 0 lot line be attractive to somebody? Yard, I own land.
So a 0 lot line is a duplex, but you're only buying half.
Correct,
So kind of like a condo, but you're
exactly.
sharing walls.
But no dues.
But no dues, but you're sharing walls.
You're sharing walls and you own the exterior.
Okay.
Okay, do you see that? So the next least, most expensive house in all 4 of those areas is $196,900 on Berryman Lane, which is in area 15. And let's look at that. So do you see how this is, wow, look at that. That's kind of mass
How much is
service. This is 190, oh no, this is Thuja, I missed Berryman. Yeah, $200,000. So this is 808 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 0 garage, $200,000.
How much land is on?
It's on a 4,375 square foot lot. Okay, so see where, and that's how you start. And I go and look at as many listings as I possibly can at once. So if you want to just, and sometimes what I do is I just take it by area. You know, so not only am I looking at the hot sheet, but I'll go area 10. What's everything that's listed in area 10, and I just start going through it. And I typically start with just residences, and then I might move to condos, I might move to something else.
but I'm looking at what's available, okay? So do you see how I did that? Okay, and then let's talk about, for a minute, I'm gonna close all these things up, you guys. You have to be a member of MLS, so if I want these stats, where do I go to get them? I go to alaskarealestate.com, absolutely, okay? I log in, I use the same login you use on Flex, same exact login. And then, I'm gonna go back to my participants page. Those maps are the coolest things that you can use. The other thing they have is they have reference materials, okay? So they've got all kinds of stuff on here. You know, they've got setting up a contact in Flex, map numbers with area references, information forms, how to submit digital photos, how to create rules in Outlook, authorization to change, how to contact the staff at MLS, most common rule violations, you should know those. Should we look at those for a quick second? Most common rule violations. Listing lag fee, duplicate listing fine, relist fine, contact information in the public remarks, do not show, publication of individual property sold price. You can't tell somebody what a property sold for. Giving possession of your Century card to anyone, $500. PIN code affixed to a Century card fine, $500. Okay? So they tell you what the fee, their fines are. So this is interesting information. How to do a non-MLS listing. If you want to use some of their logos, you can use their logos 100%. You just have to use the right ones. Alaska Real Estate resources, how to publish information, contract type definitions, how to input out of the ordinary listings. There's a ton of those. Blah, 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 blah. So do you see that? I mean, this is really good. And then reference websites, they have these, which I love and use them all the time. So here's the Anchorage School District maps, Mat-Su School District maps, the Real Estate Commission, State of Alaska Real Estate Disclosure Statement, the AHFC project list website. How about Alaska Home Inspectors Forum? It says they can't find it. But I think it had it maybe had an address list. Nope, they're not finding it. That might be a broken link. But so there's all kinds of information on here. Rosters, if you can't find somebody, how do I find someone? Alaska MLS roster. That's the whole one. How about just the Anchorage? It'll print it out in Excel format so you can go find somebody. It's great. Okay. I love them. I use the rosters all the time. Okay. So this side of the MLS is really pretty exciting, I think.
Is that what you use to set up the portals or whatever?
No, you set up portals on the front side of Flex. Okay. All right, so let's talk about, I gave you homework to remember.
Find an article on the economy.
Tell me something about a prompt. Yeah, tell me something about the economy. You're so good. What'd you find out?
The article that I found was they just had a meeting, the city of Anchorage with the population and how it's slowly decreasing right now. But, and then with the price of oil, it's not gonna reach the price that they want.
So they have projected for our budget.
Yeah,
So what does that mean for funding government?
we have less money.
Very good. So what did you find?
I know about the troop thing. There was an article about that.
Okay.
Where the troops were leaving.
What troops? Actually,
425,
well, there you go, 425. And who are they?
the airborne.
Airborne. Why is that important to know?
It's 26 people.
Something like that?
No, so I think that that's going to affect the economy possibly.
Sure.
Or the buying market.
Probably both, because probably some of those guys in the 425, they own homes. So that would indicate, so if somebody in the military, let's say a large number of folks in the military are going to what they call PCS out of Alaska. That's a permanent change of duty station. What does that mean as far as the real estate market?
There's going to be more inventory. So
Oh,
prices might be affected.
Could be. More inventory could be good. More inventory depends on how much inventory comes on the market. But let me ask you a question. So where do people who are typically in the military live?
and East Anchorage. So see where I'm at. So knowing that, so just in general, if you were just to be a regular person working a regular job, and they say, oh, some folks are leaving out of the military. Well, unless I have a business that directly deals with the military, I probably might be like, yeah, you can put us, no big deal. But now everything that has to do with the economy directly impacts your business. So now all of a sudden you're like, okay, who's leaving? And what do they do? And how many of them are going? And where do I know that most military folks live? So now all of a sudden I want to know more. I want to know exactly, and why we ask those kind of questions is because if I meet somebody who's in the military, I'm like, so are you by any chance going to be impacted by this? And do you know what an RIF is, a RIF? It's called a reduction in force. It's a RIF. So are you going to be affected by this RIF at all? Are you in the 425? Are you airborne? Now all of a sudden, what do you sound like? A genius, an expert, sound like a genius. You can actually have a whole different conversation with someone. I can have an entirely different conversation.
It's one of those that you stuff with people who are in the military.
Correct. Exactly. They're going to be way more interested in what you have to say. So what did you find out when did you have an opportunity to review the economic forecast?
I did not.
You did not. That's okay. You had a whole day off. Oh, here's my school market analysis. Look at that from Sue. Sue, she guys want the soul market analysis for you? Oh, no, I know I didn't show. She didn't come. That's why my Phyllis in the Valley didn't come.
How come?
They had some business that came up there. They didn't, or them, but they were gonna watch remotely. But just in case they were gonna be here, I printed out stuff, so they could say, how they were doing print out stuff in Anchorage and not. But I did. Okay. So now this one is put on. Now there are several of these things rolling out there, but I kind of like this format. I think it's really interesting. I think it kind of segments this out. And it has us talk about, so 2015, first page. 2015, what does it say about the Anchorage market?
It's flat.
So it's flat, good or bad?
Steady. That's good.
Flat's good. What happens if your economy is growing super, super, super fast? That's not great.
Isn't that the
That can, there you go. That can be a bubble. That can mean that, we're growing too fast. What happens if we're going down or going down quickly? That's recession. So bubble, recession. Flat, we say the word to use for flat is good. That means that we've got enough jobs. Here, this is all kind of theoretical, right? Because everybody's going to think, we don't have enough jobs. Okay. But we have lower unemployment. So there's enough work. And when I drive around, one of the things you kind of want to look at are, do you ever see help wanted signs? I mean, I see everywhere I go, I see inquire within, apply for a job. I mean, there's areas of the country where there's no jobs. They're not asking for you to go apply for jobs there. Okay. So one of the things you should be looking at when you go in places, are there help wanted, or are they encouraging you to apply for a job here? Or are they saying, no, don't apply for jobs? Okay, so they encourage employment. So what do they say about employment? Okay. So they're looking at, we're still increasing jobs. So supposedly we have 157 jobs. Okay. People in jobs. Okay. So population. They thought that we would gain 1,500 people in our population. And we're looking at, so I always find it really funny when people are talking about population, but we have about 300,000 people in Anchorage. Okay. And oil and gas, they're looking at employment by sector, okay, where they think we're going to gain jobs. Now, so they say that they thought they were going to gain 100 jobs in oil and gas, 300 in healthcare, no change in transportation, no change in professional and business services, minus 100 in construction. Let me go back and say minus 100 in oil and gas,
Leisure and hospitality, I thought we would gain 100 jobs. Retail, I thought would be up 300 jobs. Government, I thought we'd be down 500, and other sectors, I thought they'd be up 100. So now all of a sudden, why do I care about this?
Can you tell me where the jobs are coming from?
And who might be hurting? So oil and gas jobs, so oil and gas jobs are typically super high paying jobs. That's something really important to know, right? Okay. Retail jobs. Well, retail jobs, you guys, are typically minimum wage. They're typically minimum wage jobs. That's rough for people to get a minimum wage job, right?
Even like part-time.
Yeah, for sure. So that tells me some stuff. So I'm going, wow, 100 people, they get laid off in oil and gas. Those are those $1 million homes. Those are those $750,000 homes. Okay. Healthcare, adding 300 jobs in healthcare. That's awesome. Those are super high paying jobs. You know, X-ray techs, $50 an hour for an X-ray tech. That's a lot of money a year. Okay. Transportation, no change. Professional business services, no change. Construction down 100. Well, that makes sense because we're not holding that many business permits, building permits. So, okay, that now all of a sudden I can extrapolate out some other information. Well, gosh, people have said that we're not building that many houses. All of a sudden we're going to be down 100 jobs in construction. Oh, okay. Let me draw the dot. Okay. Leisure and hospitality up 100. Leisure and hospitality, that has to do with restaurants. That has to do with leisure and hospitality. Hospitality has to do with all the hotels they've been building. And then that has to do with tourism, right? So, okay, up there. Financial activities down 100. Retail up 300. Government down 500. Well, what did we just talk about as far as the oil price per gallon is not going to meet our budget. So now we're going to be possibly having attrition of 500 jobs. Okay, now some things I'm hearing out when I'm watching the news every day. Gosh, some of this stuff, I'm drawing some conclusions based on that. Okay, unemployment, what are they saying about unemployment? 2014, look in 2010, what unemployment was at.
Wow.
Look at what it's now. Which means that if you want, the theory being right now, that if you want a job that you are qualified for, you have a good chance of getting that job. That means that being unemployed is a choice. Okay? Okay? Inflation. Inflation, cost of goods and what things are costing people. Is the cost of bread, is $1 a dollar? Is it costing a loaf of bread the same as it was last year, this year, you know, that type of stuff. So that's your inflation, right? Oil and gas, okay, price of them. We already know this, right? AMS, West Coast, that's what they're basing this on. They're basing this on the West Coast pipeline. So now, one of the things I probably want to pay attention to, and they do this on the news, every single night, I probably want to start watching what the price of barrel of oil is selling for. I probably really didn't give a shit about that. Because that drives a huge sector of our economy, okay? So things that you probably didn't care about or wouldn't ever pay attention to, now I want you to start going, huh, I want you to listen to that, okay? Healthcare, 18,000 jobs in healthcare. That's phenomenal. Okay, how about so when you drive around, have you had the pleasure of driving around UAA lately? What can you tell me about driving around UAA? How about the hospital? What can you tell me about the hospital? You don't live at the hospital? Okay, so next time you have an opportunity to drive around, Lake Gotis.
Have they expanded it?
Oh my gosh, yes. Have you been over there lately? Just take in theory, if you're ever over that area, I want you to drive down Providence Drive, and then I want you to start driving, see how they've expanded the campuses. So my kid had to go, he broke his hand, and I had to go take him to Anchorage Orthopedic and Fracture Clinic, which used to be in the hospital proper. And then they moved it over to this 12-story building I didn't even know existed on the hospital campus. And I'm like, how long was that there? And they're like, years. And I'm like, what? What's going on? So that means that there's entire new medical complexes and medical buildings that are being built right on Lake Otis that are now kind of connecting to Providence. Mm-hmm. Drive back there and be like this. What that means, jobs. That means,
they're building a favorite just built in the health center for UAA to train people.
Yeah.
So they're like trying to get ready probably for that.
Exactly.
Because if we have a lot of jobs here, in theory, we want to try and keep kids in here, and we want to make sure that they have jobs, and that feeds the university as well. So that's a win-win, right? Okay, but yeah, lots and lots of jobs, healthcare. Okay, and then if you're driving down Tudor Road, I look at Anchorage Native Medical Center. Now, when I was growing up, Anchorage Native Medical Center used to be in a really kind of shifty area in downtown Anchorage, and they used to look like they were in what I would kind of consider to be Elmendorf pre-ghetto 1950s, 1960s buildings. Then they built this luxury. I mean, if you haven't had an opportunity to ever walk into that building, and you might not have an opportunity to walk into it, if you get in there, this is a luxurious, and this is public health. They have trees. This is public health. This is one of the most interesting, very beautiful buildings, okay? So transportation. What do you know about transportation in Alaska? What do you know about FedEx, and what do you know about UPS? Well, it's a huge hub here, so that's a really big deal. So we brought our transportation up, and the airport, and the international airport, and even Merrill Field and Lake Hood, all of that transportation jobs. That's a big deal. People come up to Alaska and they hire folks to take them on, take them out to these lodges, but they're going to get into small airplanes and that type of stuff. So there's lots of transportation jobs. Construction. So this doesn't shock and amaze me that construction, if they're not building a whole bunch of buildings and permits and whatnot, doesn't shock me. But construction is something that I think we should actually look into a little bit more. It says total employment in the construction sector is expected to decline by 100 jobs. The estimated value of Anchorage building permits in 2014 was up 8% over 2013, with significant growth in the second half of the year. Permit values from July to December increased 27% over the same period in 2013, while the number of new permitted residential units increased from 518 to 758 in 2014. This only indicates an improvement in the local developers' interest in new construction. The actual number of new residential units added to the Anchorage market in 2014 has yet to be tallied and will provide a clear sense of construction activity when it's available. Knowing the amount of permits that are pulled is important for you. Okay, you care about that number. So when it says construction, anytime somebody's talking about construction, that's something that you want to pay attention to or read a little bit more about. Construction in the state capital budget will not immediately impact the construction sector, as many 2015 projects have committed funding. Renovation and rehabilitation construction will begin at Airport Heights Elementary School, Ted Stevens International Airport, the Glen Highway expansion by Eagle River. Smaller transportation developments include the completion of the Equipment Bridge extending 100th Avenue to C Street from Arctic and the West Diamond Boulevard upgrade. In the private sector, Siri Fiery Business Center, which started construction in April 2014, is scheduled to be completed this spring, and groundbreaking for the Kupik Corporation occurred in October with scheduled completion in December 2015. A 200-room patient housing facility is also being constructed this year at the Alaska Native Medical Center campus. New multifamily housing developments in the Muldoon, Mountain View, and Russian Jack neighborhoods, totaling 166 units, are expected to open in 2015. Finland Housing Authority will be breaking ground this year for construction of 50 multifamily units off Muldoon Road and 49 senior housing units in 2 buildings near Creekside Center Drive. Both developments are scheduled to open in 2016. The existing backlog of funded projects and deferred maintenance projects is expected to essentially sustain current employment levels, even with the anticipated reduction in fiscal year 2016 state capital budget. 2016 construction season might be a different story, however. Okay? So all of a sudden, when people are talking about construction, what are some stuff you can start talking about? Well, Siri, just have you guys driven by Fireweed? Now, what I considered when I was growing up, Fireweed, where they built that building, was a movie theater. And there was a drive-in theater right there too, when you were really young.
That's on like multi.
No, it's on Fireweed, kind of by Fireweed and the Seward Highway.
Oh.
Yeah, down from Stairs, you're correct. And they're kind of very much midtown, right? Okay. So that area, that was for years and years and years. So Native Corporation purchased that property, and they just put in a multi-story high-rise office building, kind of, larger than this. Okay. So all of a sudden, why do you care about construction? You care about building permits because we're in
We care about new construction, right? I care about construction projects that are going on, because I can talk about, well, I work for Syria. I'm like, oh, okay, so are you gonna be in the new? See where I'm at? So you start to kind of pull these things together, and you really start to sound a lot smarter. You guys ready to take your next break, and we'll come back? So I have, this is a 1 year, this is a 2015, and then I have the 3-year promise to show you. So we'll come back in 10 minutes. I know, I took a Sunday grab upstairs. Jackson. Oh. I do, I have to go upstairs one more time. I will try not to get jacked. I promise, but I have to.
That's good.
Just throw it up. Like I have such like my hair like goes down to the earth, and so I just like literally just like put it like as if I was gonna put it in a ponytail and wrap a hair tie around. This one typically takes 2 hair ties for me. And then if it's like the hair sticking out, then I'll just take it and tuck it back into the ponytail.
I like try so many times and they look so crappy.
It's so funny, like when you have everyone's like, I'm so jealous. I'm like, I always think it looks ridiculous because like it takes me one try to just like throw it up, and then sometimes it like sticks straight up and it's huge. There's so much of it.
Yeah, well mine is like super thin.
Oh, is
So it
it?
always looks like flat and dead. Like,
Right, never mind.
Okay. Sorry, guys, what I do, yeah, a little bit more.
So look at you, you got some humbleness among you. Okay, so financial activities, correct? Oh, no, professional business services. No change, what did they say? Diverse group of employers including engineers, accounting, lawyer, architects, and management professionals, among others. Strongly correlated across time. Major projects proceed through various stages of development from conception to construction. Professionals of many different, and all of these professionals can start getting involved. They have benefited in recent years from the preliminary work associated with several potential mega projects. So, are you for or against couple one? Or do you have an opinion?
I'm for it.
You're for it? Okay. Do you have an opinion? You think you're for it? Why would you hesitate?
I
Did you approach that?
wasn't paying attention, but I think that I'm for it if I remember right.
Okay. So the only kind of downside to couple line is if they're not really careful, they can have a disastrous impact on the fishing. But it's a mega project like North Slope Oil is a mega project. So then Nick Arm Bridge, Mississippi Water hydroelectric project. Existing backlog of projects is expected to maintain current employment levels through 2015. So if if you hear somebody all of a sudden piping up about the Pebble Mine project, there's no shame in saying to somebody, I really don't know that much about it. I mean, I've heard about it, obviously, it's been in the news, but it hasn't really been in my mindscape. So tell me what you think about it, or tell me what your thoughts are. And you're going to have people who are going to be super pro, and then you have these people who will be super con. You kind of don't really get a ton of people right smack in the middle. So you do want to kind of talk about that a little bit, okay? And then, what do they call it? Nick Arm Cabada, Nick Arm Bridge. There's a little, if you ever are driving down 15th Avenue and you see Cabada, that's Nick Arm Bridge something, Lovelock, TA, Association or something. So those are the people who want the Nick Arm Bridge. Now,
Is that by Westchester?
no, the Nick Arm Bridge would go from, in theory, from the port of Anchorage to Nick Arm.
Oh.
Okay, so.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then the Mississippi Water hydroelectric project. So anytime hydroelectric needs power, meant using water as power, right, to generate electricity. So most people are not going to get upset about electrical or some kind of
So like a dam?
possibly. I mean, and truthfully, I don't know enough to talk about it, but I mean, a big deal. Okay. So then financial activities, jobs in finance, insurance, and real estate. So they say there's about 7,500 jobs right now in real estate in the financial sector. So that includes us, guys. So financial activities into 3 subsectors: real estate 40%, employment, credit, intermediation 40%, other financial activities are 20%. Real estate includes establishments involved in managing, renting, buying, and appraising real estate. Credit intermediation includes banks, credit unions, mortgage brokers, and check cashing services, among others. And other financial activities include insurance carriers, asset management firms, and financial advisors, of which there are a lot. Okay. And oh, by the way, I have a challenge for you. Okay. And you may or may not feel comfortable doing this yet, but something that you should put on your, if not now, on your future business plan is you should be looking at wealth managers. Wealth managers, people who work for companies like UBS, Merrill Lynch, folks like that. Why might you care about getting involved with a wealth manager? So what do you think wealth managers tell somebody to do with a portfolio?
Text from you for investors.
So they might be dealing with people who have money to invest into real estate. So all of a sudden, am I a lot more interested in Merrill Lynch and those guys? Maybe I should make an appointment. I should go talk to one of them. Maybe I should find out who just got their Securities and Exchange licenses. Who's just starting off in that industry? Because if you're just starting off in that industry and I'm just starting off in real estate, I wonder if we could make a powerful mega team. So I could be talking to you about, gosh, have you ever thought about diversifying your portfolio and investing in real estate and saving? Because if you have people who are investing their money and saving, what do you know about them?
They're good at their money.
Well, also, there are folks who are kind of more proactively involved in their money situation, and they're open at least. Their mind is open to talking to you.
So do all those people do over there just invest money? Is that what they're?
Well, they sit down with somebody and they look at like how much money they have. They look at like what existing products they might have, what's offered with their job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they're looking at that kind of stuff. And so they are telling them like where they think that they might want to put their money. Why wouldn't you want to be an active, hang on, I got to talk to this guy. Hang on. Damn it, guys! No. Okay.
So would you just give them your name?
Well, I would actually sit down and make an appointment with them and say, you're brand new in your business, I'm brand new in my business. I'm young, I'm hungry, and if you have a client, you're going to be talking to them about investing. Real estate should be a portion of that. I have people that I can send your way who have money and need somebody that they can, that I can trust sending them to help with their wealth management. Okay. Now, trust me when I tell you, you're not the first person who's thought about this idea. Okay. Some real estate agents have wealth managers. Okay. Maybe one of the inroads that you could take is maybe you need to be talking to some financial advisors. You're maybe interviewing financial advisors. Anytime somebody calls and asks you, normally I would tell you when somebody calls me up and says, Teresa, can I talk to you about like life insurance or something? My first inclination is to say what? No. Now I'm in sales. My first inclination is to be like, oh my God, I can't wait to talk to you. Let's get together. Let's see how we can refer each other business. So yes, absolutely. Sit down, talk to me about your products. Talk to me, like listen to what they say. Let them go through a whole spiel. Okay? The worst thing that you can do is get informed. The second thing you might do is waste an hour of your time or more. The third thing you might do is find somebody who you can leverage as a fantastic business partner. Okay? So how about you think about that? So would that be something you might want to consider doing? Mm-hmm. Now, maybe you don't feel comfortable and confident right now to do that, but later on down the road, you know? Okay, all right. So within, so financial activities, of course, I'm really interested in the next section. It says, within the Alaska banking community, a common concern is the relative lack of loans compared to the nearly 11 billion in current deposits. I want you to underline this. There is $11 billion on deposit in the state of Alaska. That is B billion. Does that give you an idea of how much cash is in our economy? Okay. Increased deposits may be an indicator of local business profitability. Loans are an indicator of expected future growth. The pattern of increased deposits relative to loans is not unique to Alaska. Nationwide, businesses have been reluctant to invest pending recovery of the economy. Though national economic conditions are improving, Alaska investors may continue to delay investment and borrowing decisions until oil prices recover. How smart are you if you can actually, off the top of your head, say, Well, there's $11 billion on deposit in Alaska. And what does that mean? That means right now that, some bankers are kind of looking at whether or not they should invest in business. Come on, this is the best. This allows you to have completely different conversations with people. And when they're like, well, where are you getting your information? Oh, from the Anchorage Economic Development Corporation, who does a study and has an economist. Oh, and I have a written report that has would you like me to send that to you? You're a genius. Okay, come on. Makes me so happy. In addition to business investment, the sector is strongly connected to the real estate market. While residential construction is showing signs of growth, home purchases in Anchorage declined 7.4% in 2014 to 2,850. The continuing climate of tight inventories of homes, strict lending requirements for both residential and commercial interests, and significant barriers to new developments is suppressing the number of new deals for banks and mortgage companies. Community efforts to address these situations increased significantly in 2014, and there's optimism that this will persist in 2015. If successful, these actions will have the effect of improving business growth and employment in this area. Okay, so that directly relates to you. So obviously, don't just read anything that you see or hear or that pops up on your Facebook feed on real estate. You have to get local. It matters what's happening in this real estate market, okay? So leisure and hospitality, I'm not going to go through this. This is not as probably a significant big deal, but they are plus 100 jobs, and you can kind of look around and just see. I look around and see all these hotel rooms, and I have such a hard time imagining these hotel rooms can be full, but supposedly they are. So they wouldn't build them if there wasn't a market for them.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like Motel 6 is $150 in Sunnyvale.
Yeah, and they're $34.
Down east.
Yes, 34. And a car rental. So we rented a car. My son was in. I can't remember. Told you this. I'm sorry. My kid went into the Army, and last year we went to see him on that family day. And so our hotel room was $34, and our rent-a-car per day was $15. Okay, so we just went to our hotel room in Washington was like, we were paying $495 a night, and it was $700 for 5 days to rent a car. So, see,
That's crazy.
yeah, it is. So retail, what kinds of jobs do you know that are happening in retail? This is something that especially us girls should have our eye on. Okay,
New jobs.
well, just new businesses. Okay, so Nordstrom Rack, what
Bath and
else?
Body Works.
Yes, what else? Lululemon, right? But they expanded, right? Okay. So Bath and Body Works, Victoria's, H&M. Yes, don't look at me funny. Yes, they're coming. Bath and Body Works, once Bath and Body Works is they're probably limited for, so the next thing is you should see a Crate Barrel, you should see the Limited, the Express, Crate Barrel, Victoria's Secret, blah, blah.
Victoria's Secret was saying that I was reading something, that they make so much on online sales through Alaska, they don't want to put a store here yet.
It's not up to them, it's up to a guy named Mel Simon who owns the Italian mall. He says they're putting a store here, they're putting a store.
Oh, really?
And once they put Bath and Body Works in, so Bath and Body Works actually, you have to have a few stores that feed off of other stores.
Mhm.
So these guys are all part of the group. So if you put a Bath and Body Works in, the next thing you're going to start to see is Express. They're all part of one group, and they do cross sales and cross promotions with one another. That's why there's a mega giant that they are.
And we're getting a strip mall, right, on C Street?
Supposedly we're getting not necessarily, I think you're thinking of a.
I mean, an outlet mall.
That's what
Outlet
you want. There's signs out there, and I was super excited about that, but I haven't seen any plans, and I haven't seen any, and then you also have to ask yourself, okay, do I care if there's a Polo outlet?
Yeah.
You say, what outlet stores would what were the things that I would be excited about?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to ask yourself, what would work? Cabela's coming in here. Okay. Bass Pro coming in here. Okay, those are, and by the way, this population should not support Cabela's. We have so many in our population. That's what brings them up here. So how about all the restaurants?
Like Texas Roadhouse.
What else?
Panda's restaurant.
They're building it by the shop.
No, what is it called? Oh, look at that. What else?
It's Cotton.
We got offer. Chili's.
Chili's left and then came back, but they left because it was, sorry, I'm going to say I can't talk to you right now. Sorry, yeah. Oh, sorry. Not, I'm on my way. That would be great. If that would be weird. Sorry. But yeah, retail is a really big deal. H&M, has anybody opened it down in there? What'd you think? Okay.
That's also like pretty better, but it's still good for Alaska.
Well, I think they probably haven't had, they just got what inventory they have, but they'll start doing their mega inventory, especially back to school and that type of thing. So that's gonna be a big deal. Ulta opening, there are gonna be Ulta openings supposedly in the Diamond Center as well. So Nordstrom, so we said Nordstrom Rack, supposed to open on the 8th of August. September 3rd, is that, who told me the 8th of August? That might absolutely be correct. I'm just joking.
I'm more excited.
Do you know how excited I would be? Okay. And again, I'm gonna bet it's just like that. I'm gonna bet the other ones down in the States have been open for longer, gonna have kind of more steady inventory. But so why do you care about retail? I'm gonna tell you a secret about your economy. If retail is in your economy is doing well. If retail is leaving your economy, you're in a big trouble. So retail is a really big deal. And there is so much retail coming up here all at once. That's a lot. That is a lot. So that's a really big deal. Okay. So retail is great. Okay. And then government. Okay, government employment. Why do you care about how government employment? Because you care because there's about 30,000 jobs. There's a lot of people employed in government. UAA, Anchorage School District, State of Alaska, Municipality of Anchorage. So the biggest pressure on jobs in government all of a sudden comes from price of oil. Okay, and then what the legislature is doing. So now some of the things I'm interested in on the news are, I'm interested in when the Anchorage School District is talking about their budgets. Now I'm interested. Not before, I was interested because I had kids in the Anchorage School District, but I'm interested from a business perspective as well. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what people are saying. I want to know what's happening. Now all of a sudden, the state of Alaska, I'm interested because state of Alaska jobs and what the legislature is doing, what they're saying, what they're proposing. They're talking about doing capital building projects. So I'm interested in those. I want to know what are you willing to fund and what are you not willing to fund? What projects might come to Anchorage? Because when a project comes to Anchorage, what does that mean? Growth, jobs, that happens, okay? When I see, I started my career in commercial real estate. When I see a crane in Anchorage, Alaska, I am thrilled. I love cranes. Cranes mean they're building buildings. I love that. Okay, so that means our economy is good. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff, all of a sudden, things that you are just, I'm just looking around, I'm just driving through Decatur, and all of a sudden, I care. So, did I hear that Dave & Buster's is opening in Decatur?
I heard that we're getting.
I don't know.
I don't know where, but I heard from a teacher at UAA
Yeah.
that's involved in
So,
opening businesses
Okay.
and classrooms.
okay, so probably a much more reliable source than just the gossipers around here that are talking. Okay.
We're also at this place, mad that jumping trampoline. Oh, yeah, bringing that too.
What is that?
I forget what it's called.
Yeah, me too, but it's like the walls and the floors all the trampoline.
Yeah.
And so you pay and you're just gonna go jump around on a big trampoline building.
Sounds
fun.
amazing. Is there liquor involved in this? Maybe, right? Now we've got a drinking game, because all of a sudden I'm really excited. So 2015, so do you think that this information is critically important for you to know and for you to have kind of a grasp on? And all of a sudden when people, instead of like tuning out, when you're like watching the news and stuff, and you're just like, yeah, all of a sudden you're really interested. And I'm way more, I watch the national news, okay? I check, and I'll tell you my news sources, and they can be different than yours, and that's absolutely okay. So I check CNN every day. I check Fox News every day, even though some people believe they have some very extremist beliefs, but I still want to know what Fox News is saying. I check Anchorage Dispatch News every single day. I watch the evening news, I watch the world news and the evening news every night. Because I don't want to ever have somebody like talk to me about something that's going on and be like, What with? You don't want somebody to catch you out not being aware of what's going on. When I'm driving around, I'm looking around. I'm looking to see what are the signs, what businesses are shutting down, what businesses are coming in. I'm looking around. Not only do I care retail because I love to shop, but I care retail because I want to see what's coming. I want to see what they're building. I'm totally interested in what, if they get that outlet mall off the ground. And I want to know what outlets, because there's great outlets and there's like, outlets, okay? So this is just the 2015. Now, you can also get, you guys, there's Scott Goldsmith does an economic forecast. He's the economist, I believe, for UAA. Either Neil Fried or Scott Goldsmith, I'm sorry. One of them is the state, one's the UAA, and I'm not telling you which one. Please don't believe me, because one of them's one, one of them's the other, and I don't know. And then AEDC does economic lunches. You can go down to Chamber of Commerce to the Make It Monday forums if you kind of want to get involved. Chamber of Commerce is another way. They have mixers all the time. You don't actually have to, I think, and I want to say that Jeff White is a member of Chamber of Commerce, so you can go to some of their events without having to actually, what would I call it, join it yourself. But also, if you need to put yourself in a place where you can meet some business leaders, maybe going and seeing about serving on some committees at Anchorage Chamber of Commerce might be a smart thing for you to do, because you're going to meet the movers and the shakers in Anchorage. Now, I'm not saying you're going to love this idea, and Kimberly looks like I've asked her to kill a puppy. You're super excited about this idea, aren't you? Yeah. I know. She looks at me, she goes, oh, you think I need to go talk to people? I can't wait to do that. But Kimberly, if you're going to talk, if you want to sell real estate, you have to sell it to people.
Right.
I know you are. You're talking. I'm impressed. But you have to be willing to put yourself in front of people, and a way for you to go out there and gain some information. Another thing is I would figure out where your local, and I'm sorry, I just had I hate it. Do you guys ever do that? You're on a roll, you know exactly what you want to say, and then your mind goes, bitch. Local community council. I think it's always really important. If you live in East Anchorage, okay, so there's the East Anchorage Community Council. So you might want to get involved with them. You might want to go because all of a sudden you're going to get a community council meeting and they're going to start, somebody is going to talk about real estate. And all of a sudden you're armed with some information, you know a lot more. What area of the town do you live in?
West.
You live in West Anchorage. There's a West Anchorage Community Council.
We're trying to find out.
Google. So let's see what we can do right now. How about that? Since you're putting me to the test, why might you be interested in going to a community council meeting?
Meet people.
And what else?
Get involved. Learn.
Find out what's happening in your neighborhood. You know, when somebody wants to talk real estate, you can be like, well, you know, I just want to tell you there's $11 billion. You can just start like throwing this stuff off. It's awesome. Well, there's 679 houses that are on the market right now in all of Anchorage, and the average sales price is, what do you look like if you can do that? So you just need to have a couple things. So I am searching. Anchorage Community Councils. Oh, let's see this. Anchorage, so maybe I'm going to do the meeting calendar. What do you think? Community councils, Sand Lake, Spenard University. Wow. I can't even see a first week, second week, third week, fourth week. And I can't even see all of them because of this.
And they're open meetings
Yeah.
to the public?
And they'll tell you where they're going to have them too. All meetings start at 7 unless otherwise noted. So let me see if I can, okay, let me try council maps. So Birchwood, Chugach, Eagle River, Anchorage, South Fork. Oh, look at all this. Abbott Loop, Basher, Bear Valley, Downtown, Glen Alps, Hillside East, Mid-Hillside, Mountain View, Northwest, Northeast, Rabbit Creek, Russian Jack, Scenic Foothills, Spenard, Tudor area, University area, Turnagain, Taku, South Addition, Sand Lake, Rogers Park, Old Seward, Ocean View, North Star, Midtown, Huffman O'Malley, Government Hill,
Fairview, Airport Heights, Bayshore, Clack, Campbell Park. Okay, so I live in this area, Sand Lake. So all of a sudden I care about this. Sand Lake Council Community Home. Hi, what do you know? Meets the first Monday of each month, 6:30 p.m. at Sand Lake Elementary School at 7500 Jewel Lake Road. Okay, committees and issues. Oh, so they're going to talk about something really interesting. They're going to talk about some crap in the, listen to this. Elodia eradication project. Do you have any idea what this is?
No.
So this is the things that get into our waterways that will choke out the fish and wildlife. So it's the first invasive submersed freshwater aquatic plant in Alaska, discovered in 2011. And they're going to use fluoride to eradicate it. So, oh my God, they're going to start like putting pesticides basically in the water. So now all of a sudden, do I care about this? Okay, so if I'm going to list a property in Sand Lake and there's a whole bunch of water in Sand, there's DeLong Lake, Jewel Lake, Sand Lake, where people actually have their airplanes. There's actually a project called Victoria Park, where people have their float plane tied up to their float plane dock, and it's on a finger and they can take it off. It's amazing if you haven't been over there. So all of a sudden, look at that, June 17th, and it's way past that, right? But oh my gosh, that's what they've been talking about. That's really interesting, isn't it? Would I have known anything about that? No. Okay. So how about what else?
It's the West Anchorage.
You want to try the West Anchorage? The West Anchorage candidate for this is back in March. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll have all of the mayoral candidates or whatever come and talk. And by the way, you all of a sudden care about who's running for president. You care about who's running for your local offices. You care. So where was I back? Okay. So let's go back. Okay. So do you notice how many there really are tonight? April 6th, nope, 6:30 regular meeting. Other business. So what did they talk about? They talked about regular meeting, opening remarks and announcements, local municipal assembly report, update on current issues, the state legislative report, update on current issues for our local representatives, dedicated time for airport issues because Sand Lake is right near the airport, right? And then Jewel Lake Road, Strawberry Road to 88th reconstruction. So they're going to have somebody come and talk about the reconstruction going along. So all of a sudden, in your area, you could know so much more than you do right now. And you are welcome to go attend these. And I'm not telling you that every single one of them is going to be some like fantastic event, but really you should start in your own neighborhood. What's going on in my own neighborhood? And then you have a basis of, again, talking to people. So fabulous way for you to learn what's going on, guys. I highly recommend it. So, and then let's see, committees and issues, it hit that. Next meeting location, agenda and minutes. They have a newsletter. They have an archive. Okay, so okay, I got there. They have an archive. Let me try here. Archive, leave a reply. It's not telling me anything. Monday, September 4th. Okay, how about this one? Next meeting, Monday, September 14th, 2015, 6:30 p.m. If you're scared and you don't want to go, I'll go with you. No big deal. We'll just go to one together. And we might sit there and be like, oh my gosh, this is awful. Or you might be like, oh my gosh, I just learned something interesting. You never know. But also you can find out who are the movers and shakers. Why might you want to know the movers and shakers in the neighborhood you live in? You know what's going on. Yeah. I mean, who do you guys have a real estate agent? Are you who is selling in this area? How about, are there any real estate agents who are going to those meetings? And who else goes to those meetings? Why might you care about going to them? Homeowners that are like really jacked up and engaged in the community. Guess what? Those are the people you want to know. Or know who to avoid. Who's the yay who has the one, crazy project that they're the person who is
they've got the tinfoil on their head and the Martians are coming and that kind of thing. I want to know who that guy is too. Because when he calls and asks me to list his house, I want to know, okay? Okay, so the other thing I gave you guys is a 3-year economic forecast. Do you think this has any good information in it for us? Okay. So let's see what it says. Population, again, it's now, I can go, I'm gonna actually bet, and I'm gonna betcha. They set it up exactly like this, or they set it up similarly. The population, right? So I can lay this down and say 302, yeah, in 2015 they said 302. So they think we're in a decline in population for the next 3 years. How do you like them apples?
That's good.
Overall, AEDC expects Anchorage population to increase slightly in 2015, consistent with local employment growth already seen this year. Geographic forest reductions are expected to be the key factor in population decline from 2016 to 2017. So now I know why we're expecting the population to go down, right? So that tells me why. So that's interesting, isn't it? And with population stabilizing, okay? And it also tells me that they're thinking they're going to do what's called a gradual pull down versus sending like 2,000 people out of the state.
Oh, that's good.
Right? Okay. So now with the unemployment and inflation, did you want to ask something?
Nope.
Okay. And then interesting here, they call it the Great Recession in 2008. So they kind of highlighted this for employment. So I think that's really interesting. So 2015, they said 155,800 jobs. And so it looks like they're saying that we're going to, in the next couple of years, we're going to lose 800 jobs, which isn't horrible when you consider that 2,600 of those are ripping with JAGO. Okay, so now all of a sudden there must be growth in other areas. Okay, okay. So then it says personal income. Personal income of Anchorage residents, the sum of all wages, investment income, and government transfers increased 1.4% between 2012 and 13, reaching $116.5 billion. Wages earned from employment, which accounts for more than 2/3 of total personal income, increased 2.1% to $11.3 billion. Investment income, dividends, rental income, and interest increased 1.8% to $3.1 billion. And finally, transfer payments from federal, state, and local governments fell 2.6% to $2.1 billion. Okay. So AEDC expects growth in 2014 to be consistent with the statewide level before slowing to approximately 3.5% in the following 3 years, closer to the long-term average growth rate of 4.4% observed from 2002 to 2013. So 3-year report for personal income looks pretty darn good for me, okay? Especially when you consider that wages are employment is supposed to be down, right? So international airport passenger volumes, okay? We do care about this, but it's not the driver of our industry. It's a part of our industry. Both air passenger and air freight indicators are important measures of economic activity. AEDC expects 2015 passenger traffic to be 3% above 2014, with the expected strength of future tourist seasons. Anchorage passenger volume is expected to continue to grow through slightly lower rate, 2%. So they're still expecting growth at 2% per year. That's okay. Air freight volumes are a really big deal. This is a huge indicator in our market, and it's going up. I can see that people at 2, people at 3, people at 5, but those things are good. Port of Anchorage freight volume. Do you know that supposedly, and I can really say this, meeting with the Port of Anchorage once, they told a group of real estate licensees that every single thing that gets shipped to the Middle East goes to the Anchorage Port of Anchorage, goes to the Port of Anchorage. Wow. I don't know if that's true or not true. Did you hear the same thing in one of your business?
I just heard that it's the most busiest one. Anything that goes across cities wants to go through that.
I think that's fascinating. Anything that goes to the Middle East goes to Alaska. Okay, that's wow. So that's a big deal. And obviously, the idea should be, in theory, if they're pulling out of Afghanistan and they're pulling out of the Middle East, if the military is pulling out, then our port shouldn't be as busy. That's the theory. But it doesn't look like that's going to be true for the next 3 years. So it looks like you have an increase in volume. Okay. Then it says building permit values. Okay, we care about this. Building permit values. I'm not going to read it. You guys can. Visitor industry. Says statewide and Anchorage, the outlook. And then Oil, so one of the ways that we, some people are talking about right now, capitalizing on how many visitors come to Alaska is by what? So there's a way that we could capitalize, we could increase, our state government could increase their economic picture if we did one thing statewide or for our local economy, we had a sales tax, okay? So sales tax, so because we have so many foreigners that come, so much tourism, the theory being is they go to Fred Meyer, they buy stuff. If we had a sales tax, we could be funding our government on sales tax income. So I don't know how I feel about it. I personally don't want to pay sales tax, because I'm not exactly assured that those morons in Juneau know how to spend their money. So live with what you got, figure it out. Don't build stupid stuff. You got one thing started. You know what project I'm going to talk about? I'm building a fish processing plant in Newtown Acres. We'll talk about that that's a rant I could go on for a day. But it's not.
When are they doing that?
They already did, and then I had to sell it. Now it's a church.
That's like in Homer, they do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but so I'm not 100% convinced that the state of Alaska shouldn't have to live within its means, because they continue to do just projects that are just ridiculous. And so I'm not 100%, you can't spend the money you have, okay, so figure it out. So oil prices, obviously you really care about oil prices. Global production of crude oil averaged more than 88 million barrels per day in 2014, which is 0.6% came from Alaska. Generally consistent with other forecasts, and recognizing the highly unpredictable nature of oil prices, ADBC expects ENS to average about $60, that's the barrel cost, in 2015, 70, 2016, 80 in 17, and 90 by 2015. So, interesting. And then they have global crude, and then Alaska average yearly oil prices, and then how much we're receiving per barrel. And then there's a correlation between you have to have oil at whatever certain point in order for our budget to be met, okay? And then what are the challenges ahead? Okay, now I care about this. There's little doubt from the strength and resiliency of the Anchorage economy will be tested over the next 2 or 3 years. Critical connection between oil prices, oil revenue, and Alaska's economy is plainly evident. In Anchorage, oil and gas industry spending in the private sector accounts for more than 30,000 direct, indirect, and induced jobs, and thousands more jobs are created in the local economy as a result of the state spending of oil-related taxes and royalties. Good news is that North Slope production has stabilized at around 50,000 barrels per day. Few analysts expect prices to return to the $100 level anytime soon. Forest reduction, that's called a RIP, at J-Bear will present another challenge for the Anchorage economy. Anchorage can be proactive in mitigating that impact by working to retain the effective military population that may be transitioning to civilian life. Connecting these people with the jobs available in Anchorage is an opportunity for our community. Interesting. So some of those folks who might be riffing might want to stay in Anchorage. We have supposedly, and this is not me saying this is something I'm repeating, the more folks in the military retired to Alaska than anywhere else in the United States. So what they're saying is maybe people are they're love Alaska so much they're going to stay, okay? There's a certain reason for concern. Perhaps it's useful to remind ourselves that the Anchorage $30 billion economy, as measured in terms of total output, is more diversified than ever. Major contributors to that output, in addition to the oil and gas industry, military, freight, cargo, transshipment of visitor industry, healthcare, and professional business service sector. So oil is not the only thing that drives our economy anymore, and it used to be. So in the 80s, when we crashed, the price of oil went down, and I wish somebody would have turned the lights out when the last person left. People left our town in droves. There was empty malls. That's a really freaky thing to do, is to go through a mall and it's empty. You drive downtown and businesses are closed, shuttered, boarded up. It was very strange. Strong employment picture so far in 2015 is good news, 1,000 more jobs. Previously noted that persistent low unemployment rate in Anchorage is a marker of underlying opportunity for growth. And so now they're saying that, again, I probably would have mentioned this, that if you are unemployed, you're choosing to be, not because you cannot get a job. Many employers continue to report they would hire more workers if people with the right skill sets were available, and the high cost of tight inventory in housing was not acting as a barrier to recruitment. The strengthening national economy bodes well for Alaska in some respects. Growing domestic demand for consumer goods means more Anchorage airport activity. A number of Alaska-owned and Anchorage-based corporations have national and international business interests that will benefit from a more robust U.S. economy. The visitor industry is also poised for growth this year and next. Trajectory of the Anchorage economy over the next 3 years is uncertain, with potential to move along several divergent tracks. If oil prices remain low or even decline further and state spending is further reduced as a result, and if little or no progress is made on gas line development, Anchorage might expect a couple of years of economic contraction, and that might be what's considered to be the new normal. Okay, so I think having these things at your fingertips and kind of putting it in a binder, being able to refer to this information if somebody asks you about a project, if they ask you about a sector of the market, if they're in a sector of the market. So if I'm going on a listing appointment, I know that somebody works in maybe your industry, they work in shipping or transportation. Maybe I'll go and read something on this and be able to have a little bit more of a different conversation with somebody about that. I mean, do you think that might be a smart thing to do?
Mm-hmm.
That way you just sound smarter, you ask better questions, you know what they're talking about when they're discussing things. And I'm always super curious. Anytime I meet somebody from another industry, I love to ask them questions about, so what's going on with your company? Are there any kind of exciting projects that are coming up? I'm always asking those questions. So if somebody comes to your open house and they're talking about something, like all of a sudden you can have a completely, totally different conversation. You've got topics and questions and things you can ask. And you're now, all of a sudden, you are on a completely, totally different level than every other life that out there. So this class is critical, I think, to your success. Knowing the stats means that you know the market, means that if you need to figure something out, you now know how to use it. Knowing what's going on economically and in the future and what is projected means that you can kind of start to listen to things as they're coming on. Now, the good news too, when it comes to that military rift, at one point, they were saying 29,000 people were going to leave Alaska. 29,000 people, that is the population of the Eagle River, my friend. That would have been devastating for our economy. So they said, how about only 2,600 people are leaving? All of a sudden, completely different deal. Do you see what I'm saying? 2,600. Well, originally, they were planning on 29,000. So then 2,600 are leaving. What a completely different set of circumstances. Okay? So 29,000 people leaving would have been devastating. Okay? So that's that. You missed that at last class. That was what we were talking about at last class. The military, the Pentagon came up here and was inventorying the base, and because they're being forced to reduce forces all across the United States, and we were up for a brigade reduction, and all of the jobs, all of the families, everyone that would have left would have been 29,000 people. That would have been the size of one. No, it would have been. It's a lot, but it's troops. It has troop support and families. That would be troop support and families. Okay. Because there's a lot of military moms out there who are working.
Right.
Okay. Any question that you have that I haven't answered, or anything that is brought up, or any idea that you have about this? Thoughts take in. You know where to get it now. You're going to forget. It's okay. I know where stuff is. I'm in it all the time. Okay. All right. And tomorrow I will see you at 9 o'clock in the morning. Just as much interesting stuff.
Did everyone say why they weren't coming, or did they just not?
Yes, that's a lot of people were talking about. They text in. I do want to know. And then, of course, because we're having to feed, some people are like, well, I can watch it from home.
They don't do.
No, they don't. But you do. So look at you.
So you're so smart? You're so smart? Anybody want to go to a community council meeting with me?
Did we go over?
Are you being true? Do you want to go to yours or mine? Do you want to go to the Sand Lake one, or do you want to go to yours?
Those for more class people, so many words.
Do you think we'll go to mine? You think there are? I don't know that that's true.
When are you going to yours?
I think it said September 14th at 6:30 p.m.
I will go.
You want to go too? Okay. So I want to know if there's any, okay, so it says agendas. Let's see agendas. Let's see an agenda. Because am I going to hate life? And I'm a little bit of a whiner and complainer. Let me just
September
tell you.
14th.
At 6:30. Okay, so here was their agenda. Let's see. And why do I care about the agenda? Because I want to know if this is boring or if this might be good.